the candle that dances slow in the room where the wild winds go. You are the still in my rambling mind, a soft fellow in the hands of time. You don't ask me to be more than I am, but still you pull the best from this man. With eyes that read my quiet sins, and a laugh that pulls the light back in. Oh love, if this life is a song, then you are the hum that carries it on. In a world spinning reckless and loud, you're the calm in the crowd, you in the quiet, that's where I belong. I talk in riddles, I run too fast, chasing tomorrow, forgetting the past. But you hold time like a prayer in your hand, teach me how to truly stand. Your heart is a river, strong and wide, pulling me gently back inside. No need for maps or stars above, I just follow the shape of your love. Oh love, if this life is a song, then you are the heart that carries it on. In a world spinning reckless and loud, you're the calm in the crowd, you in the quiet, that's where I belong. Let the world keep shouting its name, we'll lie here slow, unafraid. No need to run, no need to roam, when your arms are the only home I've known. Oh love, if this life is a song, then you are the hum that carries it on. World spinning reckless and loud, you're the calm in the crowd, you in the quiet, that's where I belong.
What's up, everybody? What are y'all doing? I am bored. Are you? What's up? Yep, we're closing in on 8,000. And also, we're streaming on X for the first time. So, got to look at that. What up, people in the chat? What up, Bob? What's going on, Mr. Bob? Jenny Bean, what up? What up, Daz? Pyrenees Mom, what's up? Hello, Mel. Yellow's in the house. Gingy, what up? Carrie B. Morg. Hell, Morg. What's up, Melissa Filson? Cheryl. Barb. Deformation, what's up? How are you doing? So, yeah, this is our my first time to set up the X thing. So, we're streaming on X. I dropped a link in the chat. If you're not following me on X, go follow me on X. Hit the like. What up, Swiss? What are y'all up to? We're just going to see if we can get something rolling for a Tuesday. See where it goes. We'll start out with a little music. How about that? Didn't do it yesterday, but we're going to do it today. If you haven't seen Mary B's new song, you're missing out. So, I'm going to check it out right now. Here it goes.
Mary, on a merry-go-round, spinning up, won't come down, round and round, that sound, feet don't even touch the ground, let it spin, let it ride, round and round, no end in sight, ain't no chains, watch me glide. Chaos whispering, I feel alive. Lights blur, world on tilt. On this merry-go-round. Mary B, watch me thrive. Down, 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 down. No straight lines in my lane. Pedal down, fuck the brakes. I don't chase shit, just gravitates like magnets in the skin. It falls right in my face. Gold raining. Why I laugh at the race. I don't stop. I don't slow. Heart racing, let the current take control. World blur, secrets overload. Nobody knows where this dizzy road goes. On the merry-go-round, spinning up, won't come down. Round and round, play that sound. Never lost and never bound. I don't chase. I turn. Round and round, play that sound. Never lost and never found. Mary B.
Bam. That's something new for Mary B and her channel. But let's check out a couple more while we're just easing into the. So if you're smoking something, get it out. Let's chill out. Let's ride this Tuesday.
I don't fall, I rise, I don't run, I glow. Fourth dimension, no suspension, time collapse, no permission, past and future in collision. I don't fall, I transition, I don't fall. Hey, yes, I don't run, I go. I don't fall, I rise. I don't run, I go. I don't fall, I rise. I don't run, I go. I don't fall, I rise. I don't run, I fall. I don't fall, I rise. I don't run, I Fourth dimension, no suspension, time collapse, no permission, past and future in collision. I don't fall, I transition, not behind, not ahead, just alive in my head. Fourth dimension, full ignition, soul unlocked, no condition. Time is just a superstition.
stuff right there. And here's one of my favorite ones. We'll get after something after this, maybe. Maybe one more, maybe this one. I don't know. Let's check it out.
Your silhouette burns in the low light. Every move you make cuts me like a knife. Whispers on your lips pull me deeper in. Danger feels like heaven when it tastes like sin. Slow motion, I can't escape. Your gravity binds me. I can't look away. I'm caught in the fire, but I crave the flame. Every touch is a curse, every kiss the same. Crimson shadows descend, but I can't resist. Chains of desire tighten with your kiss. Darkness surrounds me, and I won't break free. 'Cause the night feels holy when you're haunting me. Fade to black, let the world erase. Only your touch, only your face. Heaven or hell, I can't decide, but you're the sin that keeps me alive. Crimson shadows descend, I surrender all. Every touch you give calls into my soul. Darkness surrounds me, and I won't break free. 'Cause the night feels holy when you're haunting me.
Definitely a good one. All right, here we go. One more. Maybe one more, maybe another one. I don't know. Here we go.
These diamonds aren't cold enough. I need a new man tough enough to hold my hand when the night gets long, to carry my spirit when the days go wrong. My soul is bright gold, like I swallowed the sun, but I'm burning too wild for just anyone. You think you got me figured out, but baby you don't. I'm not your quiet shadow, I was made to shine for the limelight. Drunk off of white wine, wrapped in the finest, but baby I'm timeless, made for the limelight. Living like it's midnight, crown on my spirit, forever I shine this. Leather and lace, I walk that line between danger and heaven, the edge is mine. Don't cage me in diamonds, don't sell me a dream. I'm the voice in the thunder, the witch in the stream. You think you've seen a star before, but you don't know me. I was made for this world, and the world was made for me. Made for the limelight, drunk off of white wine, wrapped in the finest, but baby I'm timeless, made for the limelight. Living like it's midnight, crown on my spirit, forever I shine.
good stuff right there. What's up, Lawlene? What you up to?
Hello, Donnie. I
Hello.
was listening to the Trial Channel's premiere while getting stuff done around the house. Very good stuff.
I just saw they were live, so
He's
didn't-
almost at the end of it. When you sent me the link, he had about 20 minutes left, but it was really good.
what up, Sketty, Nitty Kitty, Jersey Girl? Oh, 420 Mama 3, what up? Blasting it out. We're gonna do one more. I don't know, maybe one more after that. You want to? What? You get a request. What's your request, Lolene?
I can't ever remember the name of it, but it was the one that kind of had like the Fleetwood Mac sound to it. It was the girl one that she did after the Chris Stapleton type. I'm trying to remember how it goes.
Didn't have a video, did it?
I don't think so.
I think I know what you're talking about. Well, listen to this. I'll load it up.
Hey. I walk in, boom, whole room shifts. Soft on the surface, but the core is stone. Sweet, pretty lips with a razor underneath. Don't test what you ain't ready to meet. I'm the truth, the bite, the burn, the bloom. I don't walk in light, I carry the room. Mother hustler, heartbeat, crown made of fire. Every step I take makes the fakes retire. I'm the queen, the force, the storm you feel. Silk on the skin, but the power is real. Say my name soft, watch the world ignite. I'm the glow in the dark and the blade in the night. I don't chase crowns, crowns bow down. I don't chase love, I am the sound. Royal on arrival, lethal when I choose. I don't take pills, I break the bad news. Every word I speak hits deep like a strike. Pulse in your throat when I step on the mic. Sweet smile first, deadly rhyme after. Pretty face, bad mind, built for disaster. Leaning close, hear that heartbeat boom. That's destiny shifting to make me room. I don't just shine, I bend the light. You feel me first when I walk in the night. I'm the truth, the bite, the burn, the bloom. I don't walk in light, I carry the room. Mother, the heartbeat, crew made of fire. Every step I take makes the fakes retire. I'm the queen, the force, the storm you feel. Silk on the skin, but the power is real. Say my name soft, watch the world ignite. I'm the glow in the dark and the blade in the night. I'm the calm and the chaos and the spark and the fuse. I'm the one they watch when they scared to lose. Every move I make is a plot twist hit. You ain't never met a bitch quite built like this. Smart in the mind, wild in the soul. Everything I touch goes hot then gold. I don't follow trends, I create desire. I'm the future walking in heels of fire. I'm the mirror you avoid but can't deny. I'm the voice you hear when you need to try. I'm the truth that cuts and the hand that lifts. Mother hustle magic in every gift. True, I'm truth, the bite, the burn, the bloom. I don't walk in light, I carry the room. Mother hustler, heartbeat, crew made of fire. Every step I take makes the fakes retire. I'm the queen, the force, the storm you feel. Silk on the skin, but the power is real. Say my name soft, watch the world ignite. I'm the glow in the dark and the blade in the night. I walk soft, but I hit like fire. I'm the shadow you feel, and the throne they admire. Crown made of fire. Mother hustler, always higher.
Oh, that stuff's good, man. Getting better and better. I think this is what you're talking about, Lolene. I think this is it.
She said she thought it was too. I tried to go back through her videos, and that looks about the time that it got posted.
Yeah, we'll see. If it ain't, it's still gonna be a good one. Here we go.
Chat rats on the stage. Creeping through the facts, scratching on the tracks. Voices in the courthouse, shadows start to call. Masks can't hide it, lies can't cage us. Despite all the rage, still rats on the stage. Chat rats uncaged, chat rats turn the page. Despite all the rage, still rats on the stage. Smoke in the alleys, whispers in the mist, truths in the graveyard can't silence us. Eyes in the dark, got justice to waste. Despite all the rage, still rats on the stage. Chat rats uncaged, chat rats turn the page. Despite all the rage, still rats on the stage. Puff, puff, pass, shadows never fade. Rats keep watching, we don't run, we stay. Chains keep clanking, thunder marks the age. Despite all the rage, still rats on the stage. Chat rats uncaged, chat rats turn the page. Despite all the rage, still rats on the stage. 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 Still rats on the stage.
That was it. All right, one more, and we'll get after it. One more. Last one. Promise. I promise.
Pretty face up, my neck can't guard. You feel me first, long before you hear my name. Walk soft, hit hard, that's the law when I step in the yard. Sweet on the lips, but my truth cuts deep. Don't test me unless you're ready to bleed. I don't flex out, my silence screams. Every move I make rewrites the scene. Storm in my veins, blade in my charm. I don't raise hell, I am the alarm. I'm that quiet shift in the room you sense. The tension you feel when your pride gets tense. The soft one, sure, but don't get it twisted. I'm the sweetest threat your ego ever enlisted. Honey in my voice, lightning on my skin. Blade in my step, danger wrapped in. I walk in calm, make the strong ones flinch. Pretty can be deadly if you push an inch. I learned my power by standing alone. No handouts, no pity. I built my own throne. Truth in my spine, gold in my scars. I don't chase crowns, they orbit where I stand. Walk soft, hit hard. I shake the ground without trying too hard. Sweet on the lips, but my truth cuts deep. Don't test me unless you're ready to bleed. Power don't shout, my hums low. I turn still air into a live wire glow. Storm in my veins, blade in my charm. I don't raise hell, I am the alarm. Yeah. Been overlooked, underestimated, misread. They saw the smile, never saw what I bled. But pressure, baby, pressure fed me. Turns off the skills, set the real one free. Every heartbreak sharpened my aim. Every betrayal I added fuel to my flame. They play games, I built worlds. They stole ideas, I rewrote the curls. I'm the woman you feel before you see. The guy you don't meet twice in my lifetime. Don't read me quite grace loud, so mind sharpened by pain. I don't fear storms, I became the rain. Walk soft, off hard, hit hard, glow warm, cut sharp, pretty smile, loaded hard. This ain't luck, this is God. Walk soft, hit hard. Every step I take leaves the universe scarred. Sweet on the lips, but the truth runs deep. I wake giants, they hope will stay asleep. Power in my pulse, fire in my scars. Hide in the room without raising arms. Storm in my veins, blade in my charm. I don't raise hell, baby, I'm the alarm. Yeah. Walk soft, hit hard.
I like that. Always got to do this one though. We got to do one for the ladies because it's mostly ladies. Here's one for you ladies out there.
Some blood on my tongue. Been chasing down dreams that come undone. You talk sweet mercy, but you're dealing hard truth. You wanna ride with me, you better love the cruise. So run me down easy, don't come too fast. I've been burning like a match that ain't meant to going to last. If you're looking for forever, I ain't that kind of woman, but I'll give you one hell of a moment in time. You say love's a shelter, I say it's a storm. I've been caught in the rain since the day I was born. I ain't broken, no, babe, I just bend till I can't no more, and then I'm out the door. So run me down easy, don't come too fast. I've been burning like a match that ain't meant or going to last. If you're looking for forever, I ain't that kind of woman, but I'll give you one hell of a moment in time.
Oh, all right. One more. I swear this is the last one. Let everybody hear Mary B's song one more time because it is a banger.
Mary, round, on a merry-go-round, spinning up, oh, come down, round and round, play that sound, feet don't even touch the ground, let it spin, let it ride, round and round, no end in sight, ain't no chains, watch me glide, chaos whispering, I feel alive, lights blur, world on tilt, on this merry-go-round,
Mary B, watch me thrive.
No straight lines in my lane, pedal down, fuck the brakes, I don't chase, shit just gravitates like magnets in the skin, it falls right in my face, gold raining, while I laugh at the race, I don't stop, I don't slow, heart racing, let the current take control, world burn, secrets overload, nobody knows where this dizzy road goes. On the merry-go-round, spinning up, won't come down. Round and round, play that sound. Never lost and never bound. I don't chase. I turn. Round and round, play that sound. Never lost and never found. Mary B.
That's pretty badass. Pretty badass. All right, Lawleen. So, where? All right, hold on. I got it right here somewhere. Hold on, let me pull it up. Where did you go? All right. Since Lolly's here, she sent me something earlier. We're just gonna watch that. That ought to be pretty good.
I sent everything, but I have no and I know what it's going to be.
Oh, you know what it's gonna be. It's your boyfriend.
And I didn't finish it before Virtual Juror started, but
So tell us about this video and why he's doing the little retraction. What he mess up?
well, the only thing I caught before the video stopped that morning that's different so far from what I heard is he said the MSP had been included in the amended suit. And in the retraction video that you're going to play now, he doesn't say that. And then he mentions one part where he insinuated Colin's involvement having to do with a part in there about Julie Albert. And he said, you know, there may be other mistakes that I might not point out directly, but this one I do remember. So
Sorry. We'll keep the language clean. But what's up to the people? Cajun Butterfly, sorry about your baby. Been a bunch of people this week have to put their pets down. Long week for the pet lovers. Golden Retriever. Ugh, that sucks. Always sucks. But look on the bright side. If you want some cats, you can come get them. Got a pile of them. Yeah, I told you they made their way back into our yard.
it's meant to be.
Free. I thought we were free, but we weren't.
No, they know that you need a big one in your lap the way that Kazi and Mary B have theirs on stream.
Not gonna happen. I will be attacked. Attacked by 180 pounds worth of damn dogs. So no thanks. But should we skip on down a little bit, get through his intro?
And that's where he gives the explanation of what happened and why he's doing it and the quality that he expects from himself for the show.
Well, yeah, it's only going to get 200,000 views.
I just thought it was admirable how he addressed it and how he was like, you know, I'm not going to give to anyone who has a different opinion of me or people who spout lies all the time on the internet and then come at me like I'm biased, you know. I just thought it was interesting.
Well, let's see what he says. Hopefully he won't get mad at us.
Things, and I made a bunch of notes, and instead of reading the actual complaint, I read from some notes, some things I copy and pasted, obviously from places that I did not go back and check the original complaint to get the exact language, whether things had added language, subtracted language, things that weren't there or were quotes.
On 2.0, I bet he freaking sounds unrecognizable. He already talks so fast.
And he reads like all however many pages of this he said it was. So it's like videos over 2 hours and something long. So I know we're obviously not going to listen to all of it, but
we might. You never know.
I can't. And we're back in school, so it's homework night. I'll listen to it from the shower and everything else later tonight.
That'll work. We'll see how much we can get through.
That weren't quotes. It's all on me. So I absolutely apologize for that. And people ask sometimes, why do you read the entire document? Why do you read 50 pages? It's so boring. It's so long. Isn't it easier just to summarize? And sometimes when you summarize, you can get things wrong. Sometimes when you mix in your opinion of what something looks like, or you're taking something from a quote or from a trial or from a hearing or from something else that wasn't in the document and add to it, it can be wrong without the proper context. So getting it right is the most important thing, obviously. And by the way, I don't really care about the jerks and the people that have the gotcha culture and act like, oh, wow, we got him now. Like, I'm going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. I've done hundreds of videos, probably thousands of hours of content online. I have done something like this one other time where I made a mistake that I can remember. I'm sure I've made other mistakes. I'm sure I have. But where I went on and, again, had to kind of clarify what I said. I was wrong about something. It was like medical in one of the videos that we talked about. And you guys were the best. And that's why I'm doing this, because the people that actually are here to care, to learn, that trust this channel, that interact with this channel, that are part of this community, I want to get it right. And I think that that's really important. I think that's the most important thing. I don't care about narratives or pushing one angle or another. Some people, I mean, most of these people that are getting up in arms lie about most of the stuff they talk about on social media or whatever, as it is, because they want to push certain things and do certain things. We will never do that here, right? We will take an unpopular opinion if that's what I believe to be right, or that's the argument I'm discussing, or what a lawyer is doing in a situation. But I absolutely need the grace I so often ask for you guys to give other people, and that I try myself to give other people. It's not easy. But I also find it hardest to give myself grace. So John has been talking me off the ledge since this all happened. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It just, if you know me and you know when the camera freezes or pauses or whatever, and how frustrating that is to me, this is times a billion to that. So if I could go back and make it never happen, I would, but I can't. So the next best thing is, because I love this community and I love doing this for the most part. It can be miserable at times, obviously, but I wanted to just go back and do it the right way. So we're going to bite the bullet, and my penance for this, for trying to bite off more than I could chew and not doing it the right way and not doing it the way that we've always done it. We are going to do it that way. And we are going to read the entire 54-page complaint. We are not going to use AI voice. We are going to use my voice, at least for the most part. Eventually, John might jump on and help me read some of it, which would be much appreciated for my voice. But it was worth it to me to come on and do this so we can see exactly what the amended complaint said. And anything I categorized, summarized, quoted before, I'm just going to ask you, look at this video. This is the correct video. If you want to pull a clip about what the amended complaint says, I'm asking you to pull it from this video. If you pulled it from the last video and people want to run with it, that's fine. I can't do anything about that at this point. I've done everything I can to say there were some problems. I apologize for the lazy way that I did the last video. That is not the way I want to do videos. We talk about it all the time too. Like, hey, will you jump in and cover this trial? This is why I don't like skimming things or trying to catch up on 7 days of trial in 2 days. And I want to talk about what the people want to talk about, right? So, this Hawaii trial that's going on, I want to jump in on it, but I know I was either going to have to skim or read summaries of it or whatever it may be. And sometimes that's how you can get things wrong. And so it's a lesson in humility. It's a lesson in patience. It's a lesson in being able to do what you can do. And it is humbling and something that I need a reminder of, right? Because although, everybody knows nobody's perfect, sometimes I do feel like I can be above making mistakes, which is just wrong.
If he was like me, you wouldn't make any mistakes. I don't put out retractions.
Danny's flawless.
Just kidding. Anyways, don't forget we're live on X right now too. I got all of that set up. So if you don't follow X, then go to this link and follow me. Like the stream, you Xers. So yeah, I'm gonna start streaming to X. I don't even know how to tell if anybody's even watching it. So somebody go look at it and tell me if anybody's even watching that. I don't X, but I guess we might as well figure it out little bit by little bit. So we live.
I'm just
on,
impressed
And I'm
that
gonna
you
make
put in the effort.
yeah, just had to set it up in StreamYard. Really could have been doing it the whole time. I don't know what it does, or if there's any benefit to it, but
Danny's going to have Rumble Rats next.
yeah, I am a Rumble Rat. I'm from the days when Turtle Boy would
Get taken down.
kicked off all the time. So
Yeah.
we had to scramble over to Rumble. It was fun. The good old days.
Mistakes, and I have to be able to grow from them, fix them, admit them when I see them. And I'm not always going to agree that I made a mistake just because you did. So I know there are people that are going to get carried away with this, but I'm doing my best, and I want everybody to always know that I'm doing my best here. So without further ado, let's jump in and get the correct and proper and straight from the horse's mouth reading of Karen Reed's amended complaint versus Proctor, Buchanan, Tully, the town of Canton, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, and Brian Higgins. And just in case you missed the other video, we talked about Proctor's cell phones. We did that the right way. We actually read the motions on it. So I'm probably going to clip that at the end of this video. It's going to be overtime. Like the video if you want to. If you don't, I understand why you don't. And let me know in the comments if you were going to stick around and watch the Proctor video, which will be not the second half of this video, but probably clipped on the end so you can get the context of why Karen Read's team is trying to add on to how they can use Proctor's cell phone because they want to add MSP to a
Hold on. Why couldn't you chat, MJ? I don't know. Is there something I'm supposed to do? I have no idea about X. But if I'm supposed to turn something on or off, let me know so we can chat. Maybe YBE will troll the fuck out of me. That would be fun as fuck.
complaint or file a different complaint again against the Massachusetts State Police, but they are not added to this specific lawsuit, but the town of Canton is in the amended complaint. All right. And thanks to Dee Dee for posting the unedited amended complaint that we are going to be reading from here today. For 3.5 years, plaintiff Karen Read was wrongfully accused of homicide and subjected to suspicion, arrest, 2 prosecutions, and public condemnation, all resulting from the gross misconduct from the MSP and those working in tandem with the MSP to shield from liability the party or parties responsible for the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Now, after being acquitted of all charges relating to Mr. O'Keefe's death, Ms. Read brings this action to recover for and address the actions of those actually involved in Mr. O'Keefe's death and the law enforcement officers who abjectly failed to ensure that justice was sought and served in the aftermath of January 29, 2022. Also, just for clarification purposes, I am not going to do a fine-tooth comb comparison between this complaint and the original complaint. I clearly do not have the original complaint.
Blue Jay, he did something on this, what was it, last week? And he had some bad information, so he doubled back and he is doing like a retraction because you know how it is. I'm sure Lolene just put it in the chat. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So he started covering Karen's amended complaint a few days ago and used his notes instead of reading the entire complaint. Haters pointed out a few things he misspoke on, accused him of being FKR what? E? Or is that just a mistake?
There was some more to it, etc. So he took it down midstream,
Okay. So
and he's going to read straight from the complaint this time.
there you go.
Memorized, but we did a video breaking it down and talking about it as well if you want to go back and check that out. Karen Read did not kill her then boyfriend, Mr. O'Keefe. Rather, in the early morning hours of January 29th, Mr. O'Keefe was killed in the defendant Brian and Nicole Albert's home at 34 Fairview Road in Canton in an altercation during a late night house party with other defendants, collectively the house defendants, after a night of heavy drinking. The house defendants responsible for Mr. O'Keefe's death, some of whom had professional experience with police investigations, concocted a plan immediately after the altercation to avoid culpability and to frame Karen Read. Rather than call first responders for help, among other actions, the House defendants conducted a Google search for information about how's long to die in the cold, moved Mr. O'Keefe's body outside, and placed him on the Alberts' front lawn near the road to make it look like Mr. O'Keefe was hit by a vehicle and that he died in the snow without ever coming into the house that night. Mr. O'Keefe's body remained in the Alberts' lawn until Karen Read found him later in the morning. And one of the important things when we're remembering this, a complaint, everything is taken as true when they file motions to dismiss and things like that. The judge says, can they prove these causes of action with the facts they put into a complaint if we take those facts as true? So that's a really important context to read this. That's number one. Number two, Karen Read is going with a very similar theory to what she had in trial number 1 for her criminal case, where
Also, I don't know if Lubin's asleep or what he's doing, but he can, I can't listen to that Spaces. I guess Babs has me blocked. Doesn't it usually tell you when someone has you blocked?
I guess I haven't taken anyone off enough to be blocked. I don't know. I've never got notified.
Me either. I hadn't gotten any kind of notification.
But if anyone has you blocked, she does.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But I'd love to listen to it, so it would piss her off. But I'm pretty sure that I can't listen to it. Nope. So if somebody will wake Lubin up, or Dean. I don't know what Dean's doing. Well, he's not at his computer. But I'm sure they will not record it. So you won't be able to go back and listen to it.
It was a hung jury. So she did not, quote unquote, win with the not guilty verdict. And frankly, if you look at what the jury said, she won on the top charge of the murder charge. But the second charge, there was actually more guilty votes than not guilty votes. So she was not able to even clear the very low bar of highlighting, creating, showing, explaining reasonable doubt. That's like the lowest bar we have in the legal system. This one is a much higher bar, 50.1%. The greater weight of the evidence, she is going to have to prove what she is claiming here. And she's claiming very specific facts about what happened to John O'Keefe, and it was not that he was hit by a car. Now, disproving that he was hit by a car is one thing. Proving what actually happened to him is a very different thing. So those are some of the facts we're really going to pay attention to in this amended complaint. From the beginning, investigators from MSP allowed the House defendants to direct the investigation away from themselves and toward Miss Reed. So MSP allowing something versus MSP being in on a conspiracy may be two different things depending on who you ask in MSP, but there can be multiple different causes of action. And we know that some of the things, or at least we've heard, some of the things coming will be negligent hiring, retention, and training as far as MSP goes. The House defendants were well-connected and close social group with strong ties to the law enforcement. The Alberts are a prominent family in Canton, and the investigating police officers knew them well. The lead investigator for MSP, Proctor, grew up in Canton and resides there to this day. He has been and remains close personal friends with the Albert family. House defendant Brian Albert was a longtime Boston Police Department officer, and House defendant Brian Higgins was an agent of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. Adhering to the unwritten rule of, quote unquote, protecting their own, Proctor and his MSP colleagues intentionally disregarded the obvious and compelling evidence tying the House defendants to Mr. O'Keefe's murder. Specifically, Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with a physical altercation. He had bruises and lacerations on his face and a deep gash on the back of his head, suggesting that he was punched and fell backwards, hitting his head on a rigid surface. So will they be able to prove that? And I think the answer is they're definitely going to be able to present evidence of that, because we heard some evidence of that come out during the criminal trial through expert testimony. But we also heard the Commonwealth provide evidence that it was not consistent necessarily with a rigid surface. I think they said it was a star. Am I remembering that correctly? I really need to not even test my memory today with everything that's going on. But they are going to be able to present expert evidence of that, but there will be counter evidence. And will their evidence, meaning Reed's, be compelling enough to get over that more likely than not standard? Because this is kind of like which story makes more sense. That's kind of the civil bar, is they can both make sense. They can both maybe be right, but if one's a little more right than the other, to the tune of 50.1%, you can win a civil case. He also had dog bite wounds and scratches on his right arm and forearm. Where do we think they're going to get that testimony? Right? From one of the more interesting experts that we've seen in any criminal trial. Will the House defendants, law enforcement defendants, these defendants in this case, will they use the same experts the Commonwealth had? I doubt it. They'll use some of them for sure. I think they're going to get their own dog bite experts. That's my guess. But maybe it would definitely be the easy.
Oh, you could get Garrett in there on this, huh, Lolly? You could pull Garrett into this one without all of the hoopla, probably. Probably. You know what I'm talking about, Lolly? She's probably typing. Hold on. Let her type. Yeah,
easier and cheaper road to just use all the Commonwealth experts, because they already have their reports. They already know the case. You already know what they're going to say. If you find it compelling and you think that they're good experts, that might be the cheapest and easiest way to go. Equally evident, Mr. O'Keefe did not have a single injury consistent with being struck by a vehicle. He did not have any broken bones or even a bruise on his legs, feet, arms, shoulders, torso, back, ribs, or anywhere below his neck that a medical examiner would otherwise expect to find on a person struck and killed by an impact of a 3-ton vehicle. And to erase any doubt, the Commonwealth's own medical examiner, the pathologist who conducted the autopsy, concluded that Mr. O'Keefe's body showed no signs of a vehicular strike. So this is really good to disprove something. And there's two ways you can prove that your story makes more sense: to prove your story and to disprove the other side's story. So I still think that's going to be a big part of this case, is for Karen Reed to disprove what the defendants in this case are going to say. Despite that, Proctor and others shielded the House defendants by intentionally sidestepping fundamental investigatory procedures. So now we're seeing some intent, not just allowing something, but doing something intentionally by Proctor. Propelled by the House defendant's false statements, including that Mr. O'Keefe never went into the house, Proctor reported in text messages just hours into the investigation that the House defendants weren't going to get any shit for this because he's Brian Albert, a Boston cop. And that Proctor was determined to make the investigation cut and dry by bringing charges against the girl. Indeed, Proctor made his intentions clear, saying Karen Read had zero chance of skating. She's effed. The pronouncement was a mere 16 hours after Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered on the Alberts lawn. And Proctor had not.
Oh my God. Genuine. We are, I don't know. That's hard to choke down for a second. Condolences. We're sorry that happened to you.
Absolutely.
Ugh, that's horrible. So hopefully hanging out, you can relax a little bit. Lolly, did you hear the question I asked you a while ago?
Remind me.
Where does the term while ago come from?
Like a while ago?
not a while ago. It's while ago. It's just one word. It's a
I know,
Mississippi.
but that's where it comes from. It's like you want to. Like, do you want to? It's just a lazy way of combining several words in the South.
Just stack them words on top of each other and smash them together. Say it. That's it.
Use a lot of apostrophes, and there's your new word.
Yeah. Yeah, I debated on going live all night, and I was like, fuck it, I'll go live now. It doesn't look like anybody's going live. And then everybody's going live. Come on, man. Y'all fucking suck.
Even walked into the house, let alone investigated inside the house. True to his promise, Proctor and his colleagues did not search the house for blood evidence resulting from the gash to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head, or fingerprints, or for DNA evidence. Proctor did not search the house despite the fact that Mr. O'Keefe was discovered without a winter coat, without the hat that several witnesses said he had been wearing that night, and without his left shoe. At Proctor's direction, the house was never processed by a criminalist or even photographed. No member of the MSP, including Proctor, set foot inside 34 Fairview for nearly a week. The police did not examine or take evidence from the Alberts. One of the big things here, this is a really good argument to say why the Commonwealth cannot prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt. But when I talked a lot about, and people are like, what do you think happened? What do you think happened? My answer has always been, I think the investigation was so bad, I think it's really, really difficult to ever prove what happened inside that house. Well, now Karen Read's team has taken on that burden in a civil case, and they're going to have to prove it. And this horrible investigation and the fact that they didn't do X, Y, and Z, they didn't interview people appropriately, they didn't record things properly, they didn't search the house, they didn't process the house, they didn't secure the scene. So they're going to make allegations. Are they going to be able to actually prove it? Because that's the other thing is, these defendants may benefit from the horrible investigation. And that's what makes sometimes proving things like this, even in a civil case, difficult. The Alberts German Shepherd was in the house on January 29th, a dog that had a history of attacking other dogs and people. Neither Proctor nor any of the MSP troopers conducted a physical examination of the house defendants for evidence involved in an altercation, such as marks on their hands, knuckles, or face, or bruises on their bodies. They did not seize or search the house defendants' phones, except that which belonged to Jennifer McCabe, who turned her phone over only after making settings changes to the phone February 2nd, 2022. They conducted only perfunctory, unrecorded conversations with Proctor's friends and acquaintances without any attempt to corroborate their stories. They permitted would-be witnesses to communicate with each other and coordinate their stories before any formal interviews. They allowed critical evidence to be manipulated in some instances and outright destroyed in others. So the manipulation and destruction of evidence. In short, by focusing the investigation solely on Ms. Read, as implicitly directed by the House defendants, through the misrepresentations they made to police, Proctor and his colleagues disregarded and failed to obtain pertinent interviews and other critical evidence from the House defendants that cannot now be recovered or recreated. So one of the issues here, implicitly directed by the House defendants, I think is going to be more difficult to prove than it may seem. And then through misrepresentations. So if the House defendants lied, does that absolve some law enforcement of some of their activity? If they think they have the key witnesses that were at the scene and they...
But what if they lied in like coercion with those law enforcement officers?
And that's what he's saying is going to be hard to prove that it was coercion. That if they lied and then law enforcement just believed them.
You know what would have helped if we would have gotten those phone records.
And that goes along with believing them at their word based off their reputation and them getting blindsided or tunnel visioned by going to the ER that morning and seeing the one shoe. That's where MSP lost focus, in my opinion.
They lost focus right out of the gate. Their horse got hung up in the gate. That's what happened.
Initially, they thought that it could have been an altercation based off of the statements of first responders.
Yeah, like
because they called and they, even when Yuri called the medical examiner, he brought up the theory of being hit with a glass.
Yep.
Believe them. Is that good enough to take some of the heat off of the officers? I think we're going to hear, I mean, I don't know how in lockstep all these defendants are going to be, but we might hear something like that. We don't know if what a witness says is true, but when we started gathering the evidence, we felt like the evidence pointed to what they were saying. We'll see.
Garth.
Proctor also secretly communicated with the Alberts on his personal phone, deliberately back-channeling those communications to circumvent his state-issued device and use his sister as a conduit. For instance, on multiple occasions, Proctor disclosed critical and confidential information about the investigation to his sister, who passed the information along to her close friend, Julie Albert, Brian Albert's sister-in-law. Julie Albert passed that same information on to the rest of her family and the House defendants. Part of these communications included Julie Albert's promise to buy Proctor a thank you gift for handling this investigation in a manner that intentionally avoided implicating the House defendants and singularly focused on Miss Reed. Okay? And it's important to get that chain of events of who it actually went to. Because I think I said something about Colin Albert there. I don't think that is correct. I was thinking when they talked about the marks on the hands, that's probably where I had Colin Albert in my notes. And then when it got transcribed into the notes, that's where I think I made one of the mistakes. So I apologize for that. And that is the chain of events that was explained in these facts. And I wanted to make sure that that gets into this video. Proctor then went so far as to and there may be other issues and other mistakes. And again, I may not highlight other ones. I'm going to read specifically from this document. These are where you should take the allegations and facts from. Proctor then went so far as to manufacture evidence to ensure that Miss Reed, not his friends and fellow law enforcement officers.
So StreamYard told me YouTube was kind of jacked up tonight when I logged in. So on my StreamYard console, I'm showing 320 people. On my YouTube, I'm showing 200 people. That's weird.
Doesn't add up.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Not that it matters, but it's just kind of weird they don't match.
Was blamed for Mr. O'Keefe's
running on
death.
calf.
Yeah.
Surely running on calf. Surely Babs doesn't believe that Aiden is not going to get a RO tomorrow. Surely.
Can you pull it up and listen to it? And we can listen to it through your phone. I can't. She's blocked me. I wouldn't meet her at the fucking TGNY or fucking Piggly Wiggly to do a live stream, so she got mad, blocked me.
I mean, I can pull it up when we do voice chat. I don't know. You're saying if I just...
Oh, you're on your phone.
Yeah, because when I get off of StreamYard, like I have a couple of seconds before I get kicked from the stream.
Yeah, never mind.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's okay. But I can't listen to it, though. Crazy old bat blocked me.
I'll give you my information if you want to log in as me, though. I'll send it to you.
No, that's all right. Hold on a second. It's in general Discord in the general chat at the bottom.
Does she have toy block too?
I doubt it. I don't have all that logged in on this little rig down here though. It's cool. It's They're messing up my numbers because there's 313 of you in here now. You need to stay.
Spacey Stacy saying listen anonymously.
Yeah, it still won't let.
Oh.
Yeah, they're smarter than that. They got me.
This included planting evidence at the scene on Mr. O'Keefe's clothes and on Miss Reed's vehicle to support the narrative, the false narrative that Ms.
And I got to be logged in because I'm live on X. With 116 people watching. I don't know why, but they're watching.
Reed hit Mr. O'Keefe with his car, with her car.
Subjects, people.
Even though he knew Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were inconsistent with a motor vehicle strike and consistent with a physical altercation and dog.
Charlie, what up?
So impugning knowledge on somebody is also something that can be difficult. He's saying he knew this was inconsistent with a motor vehicle strike and consistent with a physical altercation. How obvious was it at the time? Far from conducting an objective investigation with integrity, Proctor personally sexualized and dehumanized Miss Reed throughout the investigation, specifically Proctor's private communication to his high school buddies, sister, MSP colleagues that he believed would never be discovered, exposed the corruption at the core of MSP's entire investigation, specifically only hours into the investigation. In a text with 8 of his high school buddies, Proctor said Miss Reed was a whack job C, retarded, nutbag, and a babe with no ass. Proctor further ridiculed and derided Miss Reed for her serious medical condition, stating that her balloon knot leaked poo. In other private text message to his MSP supervisors, that's important, and colleagues, Proctor bragged that while conducting the search of Reed's phone, he was looking for naked pictures of Miss Reed. Disappointed, he reported that there were no nudes so far. In an unfiltered utterance, Proctor revealed his true mindset. Hopefully she ends her own life. Indeed, Proctor's supervisors and the MSP knew about and condoned Proctor's unlawful conduct and in some instances expressly encouraged this flagrant abuse of power. For example, no one occasion, Proctor's immediate supervisor, Yuri Buchanan, responded with a thumbs up emoji to a text calling Miss Reed the R word. Proctor's supervisors and the MSP knew Proctor had a close relationship with the Alberts and that he made no secret of his bias against Miss Reed, demonstrating a clear prejudice against her from the onset. Relying on manufactured evidence, actively ignoring exculpatory evidence, and without investigating obvious signs pointing toward the House defendants, the Commonwealth secured 2 separate arrest warrants for Miss Reed and a knowingly baseless indictment against her, and then wrongfully prosecuted her for M twice. As alleged below, the unlawful acts not only underlie plaintiff's meritless wrongful death claim against Miss Reed, but they also form the foundation of Miss Reed's claims against the defendants. And again, he's kind of mixing what's in the 2 lawsuits here. These acts violated Miss Reed's state and federal constitutional rights, the Massachusetts Civil Rights Act, a well-established Massachusetts tort principle. On June 18th, 2025, after a 2-month trial, a jury rejected the Commonwealth's theory in part because the overwhelming physical, scientific, and medical evidence established that Miss Reed's vehicle did not strike Mr. O'Keefe and that Mr. O'Keefe's injuries did not come from a vehicle strike. Although Miss Reed was ultimately and finally acquitted of all charges relating to the death of Mr. O'Keefe, Proctor was fired and nearly every MSP officer in Proctor's chain of command was disciplined for their egregious abuses and misdeeds. The Commonwealth still has not sought or provided justice, not to the O'Keefe family, not to the community at large, and certainly not to Miss Reed. In response, the Commonwealth has offered only empty platitudes instead of solutions. The head of MSP, Colonel Jeffrey Noble, stated, and this is how you really hook in when you get the higher ups. That's how you hook in MSP, town of Canton, potentially. Will we hear about the commissioner? There's a lot still to be determined. Here's the Noble quote. The events of the last 3 years have challenged our department to thoroughly review our actions and take concrete steps to deliver advanced investigating training, ensure appropriate oversight, and enhance accountability under my direction as colonel. The state police has and will continue to improve these regards. In an Herald, Noble acknowledged systemic nature of MSP's conduct in Miss Reed's case. I'm eyes wide open to a culture issue that I have concerns with as it relates to Trooper Proctor. These hollow words do nothing to right the devastating wrongs that have been visited on Miss Reed. Colonel Noble's words confess a sickness deep in the marrow of the MSP, but offer no remedy, no medicine, no relief to someone so brutally victimized by it. On March 19, 2025, following the public disclosure of Proctor's illegal and unethical conduct related to Reed's investigation, the MSP trial board found Proctor guilty of a Class A violation, which included that he was biased in his dealings with a homicide suspect and or brought otherwise himself and the MSP into disrepute. And that's directly connected with the investigation in this case. And that's so important because they get to use that throughout. They're going to argue it in trial. And it's an overarching dark cloud on this entire case. Miss Reed's life was not merely turned upside down by MSPs and the House defendants' misconduct. It was forever changed by the House defendants' transgressions and wrongdoing. The years of uncertainty and unimaginable emotional distress have left lasting scars that will never heal. At the time, neither Mr. O'Keefe nor his family has received justice. His killer or killers still walk free. By asserting her claims against MSP, Proctor, his supervisors, the town of Canton, and the House defendants, Miss Reed seeks at minimum to confront and redress these wrongs and others. More importantly, she seeks to force the Commonwealth to fulfill its duty to stop law enforcement from trampling the innocent to protect their own. Then we go into the parties and the jurisdiction, which we know all about. Now let's get to their facts common to all counts, starting with Mr. O'Keefe's death. Before his death, Mr. O'Keefe and Miss Reed were dating. On the evening of January 28th, 22, O'Keefe and Reed went out for the night. They went to C.F. McCarthy's in Canton, where they had several drinks. They then went to the Waterfall Bar in Canton. There, they met up with a group of acquaintances, including Brian Albert, his wife Nicole, Brian's brother Chris, his wife Julie, Jennifer McCabe, Nicole's sister and Brian's sister-in-law, her husband Matthew McCabe, Brian Higgins. The group of acquaintances had several drinks and planned to continue the party back at the Alberts home in Canton at 34 Fairview Road. House defendant Jennifer McCabe told John O'Keefe that he should come to the house. The group had overlapping social relationships. Sorry, I just realized I'm like looking the opposite screen, so I moved over here. Maybe that'll look more normal for you guys. At the time, Brian Albert was a Boston police officer, as was Mr. O'Keefe, though they didn't know each other well. Brian Albert and Brian Higgins were close friends. Higgins resided in Canton for many years. In January of 22 and was with the ATF. He also was permitted to keep an office at the Canton Police Department alongside Brian Albert's brother, Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert. Kevin Albert had a professional and social relationship with Michael Proctor, as well as Brian Higgins. Higgins had been on a trip with both Brian and Kevin Albert in the days preceding January 29th. Brian and Nicole Albert's son, Brian Albert Jr., and his friends were already at the house of Brian Jr.'s birthday, for Brian Jr.'s birthday. In addition, Colin Albert, Brian Albert's nephew, was present. As Miss Reed and Mr. O'Keefe had never been to the house before January 29, 2022, they arrived in front of the Alberts home around 12:20 a.m. Ms. Reed was reluctant to attend the party for several reasons, including that she was unsure whether they were at the correct location and whether they were even welcome to the late night party. So again, we're getting into the mind a little bit more of Karen Reed. Her deposition hasn't been taken yet. She didn't take the stand in either of her criminal trials. So we're getting a lot of this that can only really come from Karen Reed, which is what happened when you dropped John O'Keefe off at 34 Fairview. Mr. O'Keefe got out of Miss Reed's SUV and indicated that he would check out the party and report back to her. Again, how do we know that? Only from Karen Reed. Mr. O'Keefe walked toward the front door / garage door area of the house and entered one of the two doors. So again, there's some assumptions being made there, because if she saw him walk in the house, she would have seen which door he walked in, right? But based on all the circumstantial evidence, Reed's team is saying we know he went inside the house, either into the house or the garage. A period of time passed without any word from Mr. O'Keefe. Miss Reed, who was still hesitant to join, presumed Mr. O'Keefe intended to stay, and therefore she left to go home without him. At some point after entering the house / garage, Mr. O'Keefe was involved in a physical altercation either inside the house or garage. They're leaving open for interpretation. Will they be able to provide enough information to a jury to prove what exactly happened? Because you don't want to leave too many gaps for the jury to fill. Sure, it's a much lower bar than a criminal case, but they still have to prove what happened. During the altercation, the Alberts German Shepherd attacked him, and Mr. O'Keefe sustained multiple dog bites and scratches on his right arm. He also suffered an incapacitating counter-coup wound on the back of his head. Mr. O'Keefe's head wound was caused by falling backward and striking a rigid surface. The Alberts garage contains such surfaces. By contrast, the head wound could not have been caused by a vehicle strike or falling backwards on a flat, cold lawn like the Alberts. Now, I'm confident there are going to be experts that disagree with this statement, but it's in a complaint, so we take it as true. Because of their knowledge of criminal investigations, the Alberts, the McCabes, and the Higgins, meaning in parentheses, this is as a group, the House defendants, knew that calling for medical care to help save Mr. O'Keefe's life would trigger immediate, irreversible risk of their own criminal exposure. Therefore, at least 5 of them agreed on a simple plan to exonerate themselves and implicate Miss Reed. They would tell anyone who inquired that Mr. O'Keefe never entered the house and hide evidence that was there, including his body. So the dog bites and scratches and then falling on the back of your head, there doesn't have to be any criminal action there, right? Now, covering up a crime, lying to law enforcement, pushing evidence or lying and saying somebody else committed a crime, all of that, very problematic. But the very important thing is going to be the cuts and bruises to the front of John O'Keefe's face. That's what they are going to use to try and prove that physical altercation. And my guess is they're going to use the quote unquote sparring at the bar and on the CCTV footage and things like that. Sometime during the night, they repositioned a Ford Edge vehicle at a spot adjacent to the front lawn, which obscured the view of that area of the lawn from potential passerbys. At some point further in the night, they carried or dragged Mr. O'Keefe's body to that same area in the yard, close to where one or more of them later claimed Miss Reed dropped off Mr. O'Keefe earlier that night. The plan.
Craziness. They're still. Oh, you think we're going to find out anything new in this civil trial, Pauline, since they can do more stuff? Oh, and I remembered what I was asking you earlier while you were typing. Do you think they'll get Garrett Wing involved in this?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about him earlier when Peter said that he feels like the other side's going to have their own dog person. I'm like, I hope they're as good as Garrett because I have a feeling we will hear from Garrett.
And then check out this shit right here. I was just checking the X and looks like Purple Kool-Aid Drinkers channel got terminated, didn't get suspended.
Yeah, I saw that this morning.
So
requesting basically that a human review it versus AI.
good luck with that.
Yeah, I thought about you when I was reading his post.
Good luck with that. Jess Machado says she's going through it too, and then this is what caught my eye. Vagina Mike Criver reposted this, and it's Ruby. She says, I sent a few emails today. Next job is to read a few transcripts on Jess Machado's YouTube streams. If it's proven that she has harassed, abused, and slandered Meredith O'Neill, I'll make it my life to have her YouTube shut down as well, just like Purple. She's already had 9 episodes taken down by YouTube. What's a few more? Wow.
I mean, when Turtleway was talking about he has a YouTube contact now because of the size of his channel. So maybe sending proof like that to his contact will help make a difference. Who knows?
Oh, God.
So you're asking if we're really going to find out anything more during these civil cases. Yeah. I think the people who have already given numerous statements and have already contradicted themselves several times are going to have an even harder time keeping the story straight. So I think there's going to be even more impeachment. And then obviously we're going to get Karen's deposition.
So what? Let's see what J7's doing out here with Kane.
You know, that's okay. It's fine.
Listen, my initials are
the point
due.
that people need to make about this, the real issue is that you can't even talk about it. It's not that it happened.
That's what I was trying to say to him. It's like, look at how you're reacting.
Why is it like this?
Right. Like, why are you
are?
reacting to me this way? You know me and I know you.
That's right. People have different opinions, and then you can still have conversations about other things, right? Who gives a shit?
Right. You see my tits, you know, you've jerked off to my tits.
Yeah.
God damn. Why does she have Jess Machado's Venmo up there as her name?
You got her hat on too.
Oh, God. If only we had supporters that strong.
Elliot, what are you doing? What the fuck are you doing?
She cracks me up. Let's see. Well, there's one more. Let's check out what she put up here. There's on this.
There's also Nick Rackett.
Erica.
Nick Ricotta had no idea who he was.
Nick Rick.
It was only because of the testimony of what's her face that morning. So during lunch, we made Ricotta watch it, and he has no idea who the guy. Like, it was very boring for Ricotta's regular people, but like Causey and I are, and like a couple other people thought it was the funniest shit that ever happened.
The best
And it
shit
was.
ever, but they don't have the background. But Nick Ricotta is a groomer of women.
He's a groomer.
Remember that guy? All right, Erica. Sorry, go ahead.
No, he's a what? Are you talking about Bob Motta? His show?
No.
Nick Ricotta.
Nick Ricotta. It's a joke. This people say horrible shit about him after his, troubles. But
Oh.
It wasn't even troubles. He had some blow, had some sex. What's the problem?
right. I mean, who caught
Yeah.
for it? Right. So
He didn't hurt anyone.
no,
And he's want to know something? He's a funny motherfucker.
great show. Great show. I love it.
Name
Love
of his
that show.
channel? Rikieta. It's Rekieta.
Oh, yeah.
Ricotta Law. Yeah.
He cool with Bob Motta though? Is he cool with the Mottas?
Probably.
Why
He's cool with everyone. He invented Law Tube.
He's
Is.
the original law tuber. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I've heard of him.
He did a interview with Jimmy like a couple months ago. A couple hours long. They
Yeah.
talked about
It's good.
emotional stuff. You would have seen that. We like him. He has been wearing suits lately.
Yeah, with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Right?
Anyways, just some drama brewing on X. Ain't no big deal. So now they're,
See Causey and Jay Walsh together.
yep. That's good. Maybe they got over their beef.
It looks that way.
Yep. All right. Do a few more minutes of this. Somebody is downloading Bab Spaces for me so we can listen to it. I think maybe it'll work.
Man was advised to make it appear that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck by Miss Reed's vehicle and then died as a result of exposure to the cold.
Was it?
Mr. O'Keefe was either dead when the House defendants left him on the Albert's lawn, or he died shortly thereafter.
Oh, Danny, I have a suggestion.
Higgins left the house.
When we were watching the sidebars earlier on Virtual Juror, Jenny Lynn was in there. No, it was Boston Gingy. We were talking about how it just makes us want to rewatch Trial 1 again, even for those who've seen it 4 and 5 times.
Oh, God.
Right before the civil trial, I think it would be awesome to stream both trials with the sidebars included.
Ugh.
By then, they should all be available.
Yeah, probably so. Let me know when y'all find somebody to do it. I've already played them twice. Scarlett just got through playing the whole thing. She's in trial 2 now. It reminded me of, how
I just
slow.
think it would be awesome, though, to have the sidebars included while we're watching the trial.
Yeah. Whew. That's a lot. That's a lot more than it seems like.
Oh, I know it's a lot.
It's
But
a
just
lot.
imagine, I mean, there's so many people who didn't get into Karen Reed until the second trial who haven't watched all of the first one. You'd probably gain, even people who've never even heard of Karen Reed, you'd probably gain a lot of new subscribers just by doing that.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Might do some of it. Like the hot spots, something like that. Yeah, people in court. Dean had a video. Dean doesn't like Nick Rekieta because of what happened. I guess he was big in YouTube then when Nick got in trouble.
Yeah.
So you can't sell Dean on Nick because he's done a few videos. And
Especially when children are involved. It's going to take a lot to get Dean back.
but everybody is starting to like roll in on Nick Rekieta now. I mean, he's good at it. He's got a lot of shit going on screen, but it's not random. It's fucking hilarious. Like his little AI chat thing he's got going. It's fucking funny. So, yeah. All right, back to this.
And drove to the Camp Police Department in the middle of the night. He later told investigators that he had to do some quote unquote administrative work, but then changed his story, subsequently stating that he drove to the station because he had to move cars in the parking lot due to the snowstorm, even though he could have done that earlier in the evening when he was at the station to drop off Kevin Albert. However, video from inside the station shows Higgins walking down the hallway and surreptitiously entering offices while wearing a hoodie to obscure his face. Surveillance video outside reveals Higgins transporting a large bag from one vehicle to another before driving away. Now, this stuff all looks bad. To me, this all stuff screams reasonable doubt. This is why I really didn't think the Commonwealth was close to proving it on either trial, but much more so on the second trial when they didn't necessarily, the defense didn't go with this theory. But what does this prove? Prove some shadiness. It proves some like, what the heck is going on? You've got some explaining to do. I'm going to ask you about this in your civil deposition. You know, if you were a lawyer on the case, like that's definitely something you want to dig into and see how inconsistent or problematic his answers are. But what are they actually going to be able to prove with this? Or are they just planning on proving a totality of the sus circumstances? After leaving the police station, Higgins and Albert continued to coordinate their stories by calling each other multiple times in the early morning hours and ultimately spoke with each other on their cell phones at 2:22 a.m. Later, both Brian, Albert, and Higgins denied the existence of these phone calls, and when confronted with their existence by a separate law enforcement agency at a separate proceeding, they coordinated the same exact lie, falsely claiming multiple calls, answers, and hangups were just butt dials. However, 5 minutes after the Higgins-Albert call, Mrs. McCabe performed a Google search on her phone at 2:27 a.m., How's long to die in the cold, misspelling the first word. So when you can put a timeline together and you can kind of explain it the way you want, like it's a closing argument or a complaint in a civil case, it does sound good for Karen Read. The timeline does sound bad for these House defendants. With exactly how all of the timing, you just happen to have these butt dials right before you just happen to open up your internet to, like, let's say, even if we're taking what they say, they happen to have these butt dials multiple times right before she opened this internet tab to, you know, Google something else, not How's long to die in the cold. Miss Read searches for Mr. O'Keefe. Miss Read began the search for Mr. O'Keefe at 5 a.m. when she awoke and realized he had not returned home. She phoned House defendant Jennifer McCabe, who already knew exactly what happened to Mr. O'Keefe. McCabe insisted Read drive to McCabe's house rather than 34 Fairview, which Miss Read did. At the exact same time, Miss Read left Mr. O'Keefe's home at 5:07 a.m. McCabe took a 38-second phone call to her sister, Nicole Albert, at 34 Fairview. Nicole Albert said she was asleep until after 6 a.m., and Jennifer McCabe, when confronted with the call artifact at trial, claimed not to have any knowledge of the call. Ms. Read and McCabe were then joined by Carrie Roberts, and the three of them left the McCabe residence. However, rather than go to 34 Fairview, oddly, McCabe directed them back to Mr. O'Keefe's home, where Ms. Read had just come from. After the three of them finally drive to 34 Fairview, the illogical McCabe-based directed route to 34 Fairview was intentional. It allowed the House defendants more time to finish creating the scene and hiding evidence before Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered on the Alberts lawn and first responders arrived. So this really reminds me of trial number one, right? And in trial number one, they had some evidence of this. Now that we've had not one, but two criminal trials, they have a lot more that they're going to be able to present as to how this not only looks fishy, this actually is evidence of a cover-up. I'm not so sure there's enough there to prove it, but I'm open to see what evidence they come up with. And of course, they're going to learn a lot more through discovery, through depositions. And there's a lot we don't know because we don't know what Karen Read's statement is going to be and how credible that is going to be to the jury. As they approached the house with Roberts driving, Miss Read saw Mr. O'Keefe almost immediately. She screamed for Roberts to stop the vehicle and jumped from the moving car to run to Mr. O'Keefe. She began rendering aid, including CPR, as the House defendants had planned. Mr. O'Keefe's body was discovered in front of the Alberts house near a flagpole and fire hydrant on the left side of the Alberts property. As seen from the roadside, the Ford Edge, which had been parked in the position to obscure Mr. O'Keefe's body in the middle of the night, had been moved. While Roberts joined Reed with administering CPR, McCabe did not help or even approach Mr. O'Keefe. Rather, she sat in the cab of the vehicle, called 911, and reported that there's a man passed out in the snow. Despite knowing that her brother-in-law, Brian Albert, a police officer and first responder, was just feet away inside the house, McCabe never went into the house or requested that Alberts come down to help Mr. O'Keefe. Rather, as Mr. O'Keefe lay dying in the snow, McCabe stood and watched with no fear, urgency, or even concern for her family members residing mere feet away. And these are the things that make you go, a guy is dead in their lawn. Could it have been an intruder? Could it have been somebody doing this on purpose? Maybe my family's in danger, especially when I called them and they didn't pick up. Or they could come out here and help me. None of that went through her mind. The investigation begins, okay? And this is where we're going to get into specificity and see what do they have against MSP, which is not in this complaint yet. What do they have against the town of Canton? How are they going to connect all this together? And you'll notice the more specific facts and the more in-depth factual allegations here. The CPD were the first on the scene shortly after 6 a.m. At the time, there was no evidence that Mr. O'Keefe had been hit by a vehicle. In fact, the evidence suggested just the opposite. His body did not show signs of trauma commonly associated with being struck by a car. There was no bone fractures or trauma in his lower body, his torso, or any other part of his body, as investigators would expect from a vehicle strike. Rather, Mr. O'Keefe's injuries were consistent with being physically assaulted to the face and head and attacked by a dog. For good reason. The ranking CPD officer on the scene, Sergeant Michael Lank, opined on a telephone call to MSP Homicide, captured on dashcam audio, that Mr. O'Keefe looked like he had been in a fight. Moreover, the initial search conducted by Canton police officers revealed that there was no vehicle debris on the lawn of 34 Fairview, let alone any debris at or near Mr. O'Keefe's body. Not a single piece of taillight material was discovered on the lawn or in the roadway that morning, notwithstanding multiple searches and the use of a leaf blower to remove snow. Tellingly, despite the commotion outside, including more than a dozen first responders, 3 police cruisers, 2 ambulance, a ladder fire engine, all with their emergency lights flashing, and at least 2 civilian vehicles, plus Miss Reed's scream upon finding O'Keefe's body, no one from the Alberts house, including police officer Brian Albert, ever went outside to see what's happening, let alone help.
They're probably the only ones in the area that weren't awake, because just the lights will wake your ass up. Still so much shit nobody's ever gonna know. Too much.
They wanted to avoid scrutiny from the police investigation. Sergeant Lank was a longtime friend of the Alberts and the first law enforcement officer to enter the house. He spoke to the Alberts and the McCabes pursuant to their plan. The Alberts and McCabes told Sergeant Lank Mr. O'Keefe never entered the Alberts house. The night before, the Alberts and the Alberts and the McCabe statements were false. Mr. O'Keefe arrived and entered the house or garage where he was assaulted, attacked by Albert's dogs, and suffered a fatal injury to the back of his head. Despite Mr. O'Keefe's injuries being wholly inconsistent with the story the House defendants were now telling him, neither Sergeant Lank nor any other member of the CPD searched the house to determine whether the occupants or anyone else were involved in Mr. O'Keefe's death, nor did they request to search the occupants' cell phones, observe their bodies of evidence of a fight, or even secure the scene where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found. They failed to do so because of bias born of friendship and loyalty in favor of the Alberts and McCabes. After Sergeant Lank returned to the CPD 3 hours after discovery of Mr. O'Keefe's body and more than 2 hours after being interviewed at the Alberts home, that morning, Jennifer McCabe called Sergeant Lank to report that she recalled additional information except for this one call to Sergeant Lank. McCabe deleted from her phone evidence of all other phone calls she made and received on January 29th and just before 9 a.m. on January 28th and 29th. As part of the plan to implicate Miss Reed and remove suspicion from the House defendants, she falsely told Sergeant Lank that Miss Reed told her twice that morning, "I hope I didn't hit him." More than a year later, at a separate proceeding, McCabe changed her story on this topic yet again. In furtherance of the House defendants' plan, McCabe then falsely reported Miss Reed outright confessed to hitting Mr. O'Keefe right after she first found him in the snow. The voice gets hit here. Michael Proctor was assigned as the case officer and had primary responsibility for the MSP investigation of Mr. O'Keefe's death. Sergeant Buchanan was Proctor's direct supervisor. Tully was the supervisory officer at the Norfolk County State Police Detective Unit, and thus supervised both Buchanan and Proctor. In their roles, Buchanan and Tully both knew at all times the extent of Proctor's misconduct investigating Mr. O'Keefe's death, as described below. From the beginning, Proctor should never have been assigned to the investigating officer, let alone a lead investigator. He grew up and resides in Canton, is good friends with the Alberts, and has known the family for years. Proctor and Julie Albert, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, had each other's personal cell phone numbers. In fact, just days before the O'Keefe's death, Proctor communicated with Julie Albert about babysitting Proctor's minor child. Proctor's sister, Courtney, was also close friends of Julie and lived walking distance to the Alberts' home at 34 Fairview Road. That should have been an easy answer. He should never have been working on the case, but this is where we are. In fact, Proctor's own mother referenced the Alberts as a second family. The existence of these relationships was intentionally suppressed by Proctor and other members of the MSP, including Buchanan Tully, in an effort to ensure that the House defendants were protected and that Ms. Reed's right to a fair investigation and trial were undermined. Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully engaged in a corrupt and biased investigation by not investigating inside the House and interviewing House defendants as friends rather than suspects. Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully and the MSP never searched for DNA evidence inside the House, never looked for rigid surfaces that could have caused a gash on Mr. O'Keefe's head, never inspected the House defendant's body for indication of bruises or cuts that resulted from an altercation, and did not search the House defendant's cell phones with the exception of Jennifer McCabe. This allowed potential evidence to be destroyed, disposed of, removed, or simply become unrecoverable. Okay. And again, in trial number 1, they tried to get into some of the marks on Colin Albert's hand. That's the only way he was involved in this, situation from the allegations from Karen Reed's team, and then not in the second trial. So they kind of abandoned that. He is not a defendant. They are not claiming he did anything as it results to this case. Proctor's, Buchanan's, and Tully's interviews of the House defendants were outside of normal protocol. They were all interviewed either at their home, their family member's home, their lawyer's office, their place of employment, or over the phone. These interviews were each untimely, unrecorded, and fundamentally designed to protect the House defendants. And the House defendants took full advantage of it. So yeah, there is a lot of that, but it also feels a little bit to me like partly incompetence, because it seems like they screwed everything up. Specifically, Jennifer McCabe became the point person for all the House defendants in providing their false narrative to investigators and continued to serve in that role for years. She managed to communicate details about the House defendants, messaging, and the investigation itself, including visiting Proctor and other investigators' private residences, mapping out timelines to coordinate statements with other witnesses, leading group text message chains that were later partially deleted, and planning private meetings at all hours of the day and night. Indeed, these were never the acts of innocent witnesses seeking to help an investigation concerning the death of an alleged friend. Rather, they were predicate acts of a conspiracy among a group of people with a shared goal of deflecting their criminal exposure onto someone else. The defense is being very specific about exactly what they want to prove and what they think they're going to be able to do in this case with this case. McCabe was wildly active on her phone in the immediate aftermath of the House altercation that killed Mr. O'Keefe. Her cellular data reveals that she arrived back at her home at 12 Country Lane at 2:12:38 a.m. on January 29th. Her phone was unlocked at 2:23 and 2:31. Text messages were sent between 2:25 and 2:25:26, and 2 screenshots were deleted at 2:26:37. Her Apple Health recorded steps throughout the night after she arrived home at 2:14, 2:15, 2:16, 2:17, 2:18, 19, 21.
I mean, they were at the house for so long after all of it happened. It's just doesn't make sense, does it? That they would all be up in there just partying away.
Well,
Chop
and that's
the damn
part
yard.
of it. But then at the same time, you have Nagel changing her plans midnight or mid of the night, whatever. Like, was going to go home and then going to stay. And then you have, what's the Albert daughter?
Oh, Julie?
No, the daughter. Mine just went blank. I'm so tired.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, you have her. She was going to stay, and then has Tristan get up in the middle of the night when he went home to get rest, come pick her up. And then you have the dog not seen by anyone the next morning. So those three things to me are not coincidence. Caitlin Albert, yeah.
Caitlin. God, I couldn't think of it. Julie hit me first. I couldn't think of it after that. Not coming to me. Leslie's girl, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I figured out why it shows me different now on StreamYard, because I'm streaming to two places. That's why. There's 130 people watching on X for some reason. Not sure who they are, but some people are going to be surprised when they come back and they don't have their wrenches.
Uh-oh. You cleaning house again?
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to.
22, 23, 31, 33, 31, 33, 51, 351, 351. 18 calls were deleted between 5:33 a.m. and 8:50 a.m. And an outgoing call to Nicole Albert at 5:07 a.m. The last cellular artifact is particularly relevant because McCabe's call to her sister occurred 1 hour before John O'Keefe's body was discovered. Mere moments after a 43-second call at 5:05 in the morning, during which Reed and McCabe agreed to go searching for Mr. O'Keefe. Ring video from One Meadows shows Reed leaving the property at 5:07. So again, that's pretty damning. And there's so much. I try to think about this, if these people were arrested and handcuffed and the cops thought they did it and there was probable cause and prosecutors were saying, here's how I'm going to prove it with this circumstantial evidence, I think a lot of people would think it doesn't look good for them. Now, we know there's a lot of moving parts to this, and this is not a criminal prosecution. It's a much lower bar. But this stuff is really, really hard to explain, especially with some of the explanations that we've already been given that don't make a lot of sense. McCabe's coordination continued on February 1st, 2022, when she worked with another witness, Carrie Roberts, to draft a timeline in order to align their stories regarding what had occurred on January 29th. They did this in preparation for Roberts' interview with MSP, which occurred at the McCabe's residence despite MSP's protocol to separate witnesses when interviewed. While MSP interviewed Roberts, McCabe simultaneously texted her husband, Matthew McCabe, Nicole Albert, and Brian Albert, saying she is telling them everything, all the stuff. Nicole Albert responded, good, and call us after. 2 months later, after being prodded and influenced by McCabe and other House defendants, Roberts changed part of her story to better fit with Jennifer McCabe's own false statements. Specifically, Roberts testified falsely in a state grand jury proceeding on April 26, 2022.
Yeah, and it's Ghost Goals night, so it's Ghost Goals. So to you, nobody knows what the goal is.
That she heard Miss Reed ask Miss McCabe to Google hypothermia. She had not made this claim in any of the at least 3 interviews she gave MSP investigators in the days after Mr. O'Keefe's death, in part because it never happened. Carrie's new and false story to the state grand jury aligned exactly with McCabe's testimony that Miss Reed asked her to Google hypothermia. Reed even adopted McCabe's false claim that Reed had supposedly asked the question while praying in a CPD cruiser outside of 34 Fairview. Later, Roberts conceded that she never heard Reed ask McCabe to Google anything. She admitted this a year later in a separate proceeding on April 19, 2023, conducted by a different law enforcement authority, not Proctor and MSP, and again during Reed's criminal retrial in 2025. So that's a big deal. And again, you see Carrie Roberts is not a defendant here because I think what the defense is going to try to prove is she was swept up in this and brainwashed and pulled onto their side and made mistakes, but she was not the ringleader, right? Clearly they're saying McCabe is the ringleader. But none of it happens without Proctor. If they're going to be able to prove it, it's got to be with Proctor. The House defendants deleted many of their texts among themselves and others in the aftermath of Mr. O'Keefe's death. The texts captured before deletion or recovered later also reveal some of the House defendants' planning. For instance, on the evening of January 29th, Jennifer McCabe texted with her sister Nicole Albert that Carrie Roberts, who was present when O'Keefe's body was found, talked to the cops and kept it simple. Of course, there would be no reason to report back to other House defendants about Roberts keeping it simple unless what really happened was more complicated. Proctor, Buchanan, and the MSP never sought the communications. Rather, they were obtained by Ms. Reed's defense attorney's repeated motions to compel access to data on Jennifer McCabe's phone. Later, in other group texts with Jennifer McCabe and Brian and Nicole Albert, Matthew McCabe suggested having Chris Albert publicize their crafted story to a reporter, saying, ask Chris to ask some questions. Tell them the guy never went in the house. And that's the problem. The guy, right? That's what everybody's holding on to. Like, is that what you call your friend? As an endorsement of the plan, Brian Albert responded exactly. Or agreeing to something he believed to be true, right? That's going to be the other side of this, but it's a complaint. So you read the facts as true. And if they file a motion to dismiss on this, which I assume they will, the judge is not going to throw it out because they're like, oh, this isn't true. That's just not how you can do it. Importantly, the text messages from the House defendants' phones that were ultimately recovered and that provide a window into their conspiracy and
Jesus. Thank you. That's fucking awesome right there.
Very, very generous, Genuine.
It's always the slower streams. Shit gets crazy. But that's a good crazy, though. I like listening to him read it better than me having to read it. Although it's easier to read on these big screens now, so I don't really, not scared to read anymore. But on those little one, the little one that I had, the extra screen, oh my God, I already would be sitting here blind as a bat trying to read that shit. But on these big ass fucking monitors, I think I can do it. I wish Babs would unblock me and let me play in their spaces. I got more people watching live. I don't know if that means anything than she has in her spaces now. 142 people on X. What's up, X people? All the streams will go to X from now on, as well as YouTube. Why? I have
conduct, as well as MSP's unlawful investigation, were not the product of CPD or MSP's investigative work. Rather, based on media reports raising serious questions about MSP's investigation and the House defendant's role in Mr. O'Keefe's death, another quote-unquote separate law enforcement agency began its own subsequent investigation. That investigation, and not MSP's, resulted in obtaining some of the House defendants' phones, taking statements from the House defendants, and conducting a separate proceeding, all of which MSP refused to do itself. Indeed, the evidence procured by the separate law enforcement agency investigation demonstrates the House defendants' conspiracy and unlawful conduct.
Now it adds them as viewers in my StreamYard total. So I can hover over it now and see the difference in the numbers. So that's what it's saying. 145 now.
As well as the MSP's bias and corruption. So some people may say, well, then why aren't there criminal charges? Well, exactly kind of what I've been saying. It's very difficult to prove. And with the horrible investigation and the destruction of some of the cell phones on military bases, it'd be hard for the FBI to maybe prove this. Karen Reed's team thinks they can prove it in civil court, and they have a right to do that as private lawyers. But as private lawyers, we don't have the right to file criminal charges. So even if Karen Reed wanted criminal charges to come against any of these people, it's not her decision, and the FBI has declined to do so at this point. Proctor and Buchanan initially reviewed that the McCabe's and Brian Albert on January 29th at the McCabe's home at 12 Country Lane in Canton, at which time they again falsely stated that Mr. O'Keefe never entered the Alberts' home. However, Jennifer McCabe's cell phone location data shows that she was at 34 Fairview all morning, leaving at 11:15, just in time to meet Proctor at 12 Country Lane at 11:30. According to Proctor, he was at CPD just a mile from 34 Fairview before proceeding to the McCabe's home for their scheduled interview. At that point, Proctor had still not inspected 34 Fairview and had not interviewed either McCabe's or Albert's. He could have done both simply by driving a mile to 34 Fairview, where both the McCabe's and the Albert's were minutes earlier, rather than drive across town minutes later in a snowstorm. He did this intentionally to avoid 34 Fairview, where he would have been required to inspect the house and property and make reportable observations. He also wanted to make the McCabe's and Albert's more comfortable for their interviews. Buchanan and Proctor did not interview Nicole Albert and Brian Higgins until February 3rd, 2022, did not interview Chris and Julie Albert until February 10th, nearly 2 weeks after Mr. O'Keefe's death and more than a week after Mr. Reed was arrested and charged, and did not interview Colin Albert, Brian Albert Jr. until and Brian Albert Jr. until September 15, 23, nearly 2 years later. And even if they had anything important to say, it's really hard to remember something for the very first time when you're being asked about it 2 years later. Before both interviews, the McCabe's and Alberts continued to coordinate their stories as evidence in group text. Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully likewise failed to conduct a meaningful investigation into Higgins' involvement. When Proctor and Buchanan interviewed Higgins on February 3rd at Higgins' attorney's home in Sharon, Massachusetts, Higgins presented the troopers with a select set of self-curated texts between himself and Miss Reed. They learned that Higgins and Miss Reed had been exchanging flirtatious texts and that Higgins reported at least one instance in which Miss Reed and Higgins had kissed while at Mr. O'Keefe's house mere weeks before his death. Rather than pursuing Higgins as a possible suspect, Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully refused to investigate the matter further. They never interviewed Higgins again, even after the surveillance video revealed Higgins was suspiciously hiding his face in the halls and in the parking lot of CPD at 1:30 a.m. on January 29th. The video contradicts Higgins' statements about his actions that night. However, not only did Proctor, Buchanan, Tully, and MSP not investigate what Higgins was doing or what was in the bag he was carrying in the video, but they went so far as to hide this video from Ms. Reed and her criminal defense attorney for years. Ms. Reed's defense did not receive these videos until after she stood for a trial, for her first trial. That's the point. It's like so much changed since the first trial, which is when they originally went with this theory. And even after the separate law enforcement agencies' investigation revealed late night phone calls between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, MSP failed to produce either witness further or seek a full forensic extraction of Higgins' phone or even a simple call log from his cellular provider. This concerted inaction by MSP, Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully directly benefited the House defendants, especially Higgins and Brian Albert, who proceeded to dispose of and destroy their phones, just as criminal court ordered them preserved in response to a motion Reed's criminal defense team. Specifically, on September 15th, Ms. Reed's defense attorneys filed a motion requesting that the court order Brian, Albert, and Higgins to preserve the contents of their phones. A Superior Court judge held a hearing on that motion on September 22nd and announced in open court that the defendants were required to preserve their phones, signing a preservation letter to that effect on September 23rd. Higgins was served with a copy of the court's order on September 30th. He later testified that he changed phones and mobile carriers on September 29th. Later...
God, so you think where they worked up like these little motions or orders or whatever, that nobody would leak that out to the people, to the cops that are about to get their phones taken? There's no way they would have warned them a little bit, gave them a heads up.
Well, I mean, they've already said it was the victim's advocate who did.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. They should have called him in when they did those orders and been like, go ahead and let me get that. It won't take but a minute. Let me get that phone from you.
What's even worse is that Kanani denied it. I mean, and I don't think she could have had the state turned over the videos of Higgins on his phone at Canton PD that night. But hiding that video, I believe, would have made all the difference in the world in her decision, even as biased as she was.
Yeah, but how do you not see that as sketchy? Like, if you're just a normal person in the world, like,
No, you don't.
we've got an order for some cops' phones, and there's some crazy shit going on. We already know now that Hickey was on the phone at the. It's just their shit on them phones would have been good. Like, it would have been some
Discriminating.
Oh yeah, been some juicy shit on there that's now gone forever. It's like they weren't even trying to solve John's murder at all.
No,
Officer
because if Karen didn't do it, they didn't want to know. And if Karen wouldn't had a good counsel, they could have gotten away with this.
Sure could have. Never know. Well, we will never know, ever, what those butt dials were about. That's a lot of butt dialing, boy. You think Brian Albert has that much power in his stroke where he can butt dial over and over repeatedly when his phone's on the end table?
No,
That's
he
the-
said he kept his in the bed. Higgins said his was on the end table.
Oh, yeah. Well,
He kept
Either
it in the bed, but on silent in case his kids called with an emergency.
say that again.
Albert testified that he kept his reading glasses and his phone in between he and his wife in his bed, but his phone would be on silent. But the reason that he kept the phone that close to him is due to his history in law enforcement and having 5 children. He wanted to be able to be reached in the event that there was an emergency. But his phone was on silent.
Yeah. Maybe the light will wake him up. The little light on the phone. But I thought they were doing the thing up there is what he was saying. They were intimate.
Of course. I mean, they'd been away from each other while he traveled out of town. They've been married for 40 years and been drinking. Who
20
doesn't get it on, at 2:00 in the morning?
So you think he could get it up with 27 whiskeys in his system? Been drinking a day and a half.
I don't believe they've had sex in a very long time, much less that night.
Well, it was hitting it hard enough to butt dial.
Per his later testimony when he needed a reason for how it could possibly happen.
Mm-hmm. He was hitting that thing.
In October of 22, Higgins then destroyed his old phone, which was the subject to a court's preservation letter. In fact, Higgins went so far as to drive to a military base on Cape Cod, remove the SIM card from the phone, cut the SIM card with the scissors he brought with him, and destroy and dispose of the phone and card in 2 separate dumpsters before driving back home. Brian Albert received a copy of the preservation letter sometime between September 23rd and 24th. He originally testified that he threw away his phone the 3rd week of September 22, but then later claimed that he did so on September 22nd, one day before being notified of the court's order, and the same day Ms. Reed's defense attorneys argued in open court that the phone should be preserved. Coincidence? He just so happened to plan that day to go to...
Let's see if Toy's upstairs watching this. This is an actual friend of mine right here. What's up there, Mark?
Welcome, Mark.
I call him Chris, but people might call him Mark. But that is a longtime friend of mine. We worked together for a long time. So that'll be the first friend that's coming to the chat. No, second. Morris came in once.
Yeah.
My twin brother. Of
And
course,
Nanya made a very good point in here about Brian seemed way more excited over Higgins at the bar than he did his wife in those videos. He doesn't give her much attention at all.
Yep. But what's up, Chris? Sometimes we got a lot more people, but somebody's online trying to swallow me out again. They're smothering me over here. Little guys. That's what it's like.
There's your
It's
wife.
It's been nonstop since we just started streaming. Every time I set up a live, somebody with tons more subs sets up their live. It's like a beacon goes out when I do mine. It's like boom, boom, boom. Notification. It's time for you to go live.
the military base and throw away his phone. Like, you can see how these dots start to get connected. Higgins and Albert's destruction of their phones eliminated potentially incriminating communication between them and was a direct result of Proctor's, Buchanan's, and Tully's intentional refusal to collect important investigative evidence that would be exculpatory to Miss Reed. Even after learning about the destruction of both witnesses' cell phones, MSP investigators had other avenues they could have used to pursue evidence, such as cellular toll records or simply interviewing Higgins and Albert to inquire about the nature of the late-night communications. They intentionally ignored these avenues as well. So we saw, I think it was Corey Richards' case, where like they had another person that might have been a good witness for the defense, and the investigators had a reason not to believe them or not to go down that route. So law enforcement does not have to interview everybody just because the defense says they do. But if there's enough evidence, if there's something that could be another legitimate lead, they should. These are arguments of a lack of or bad investigation. These are arguments to create reasonable doubt. Flipping them to be arguments of conspiracy and cover up can be very, very difficult. And so the depositions of these people, one of the most difficult things I think for the Alberts and Higgins of the world is going to be keeping their stories straight and not saying things that are going to get them impeached, make them look worse, make the timelines worse, or be something that Karen Read's team has absolute evidence is not true. That's something to keep an eye out for in the civil litigation. Not only did Proctor fail to probe his friends' stories, he coordinated with them through his sister. Proctor spoke to Courtney multiple times a day and knew she was in close contact with and providing information to Julie Albert. Julie and Courtney called each other many times between February 1st and 2nd, and at least 67 times between February 1st and September 6, 2022. For example, as he prepared to question Chris and Julie Albert on February 10th, Proctor told his sister Courtney that the interview was not a big deal. Courtney told Proctor that Julie Albert had been nervous and wanted to give him a thank you gift after the interview. To avoid scrutiny, Proctor instructed Courtney to tell Julie to give the gift to his wife, Elizabeth Proctor. So they say this a little more matter of fact than I think it might come out. But when you have to prove a conspiracy like this with so many people, A, it's obviously going to be difficult. B, you're going to have to reach a little. You're going to have to see things where it may be difficult to see something in a certain text or a comment. And that's why they're gathering everything they can and they're putting it into this 54 pages. But the world of knowledge that they have, I'll just tell you this right now in a civil litigation, the world of knowledge Karen Read's team has right now is a percentage of what they're going to have when they're done with discovery, a percentage of what they're going to have when they're done with depositions, because the rules are different. It's much more open now. Proctor shared investigatory details with Courtney before they were public. In the same instance she referenced above, when his sister informed him that Julie Albert had been so nervous before the interview, instead of investigating further, he shrugged it off, laughed, and asked why. But Proctor knew exactly why Julie Albert was nervous. He sought to reassure her by telling Courtney that it was fine, just a quick convo. And then, after the interview, Proctor spoke to Julie on his personal cell phone in an unreported conversation. Proctor never treated the Alberts as witnesses in a murder investigation. He protected them and treated them like the family friends that they were. At one point, leading up to some of the interviews, Jennifer McCabe asked Nicole Albert if she had heard anything more about the investigation. Confident she would learn from Julie Albert, again, through Courtney, Nicole Albert responded, "We'll get more info tomorrow. Don't want to text about it." Why would they not want to text about it? Like, what would they be worried about? Right? I mean, those are the kinds of questions that keep popping up in my head. House defendants did not want to text about their activities and communications because they tried to hide and or lie about them. Obviously, that's Read's position, but I wonder what they're going to say. Why didn't you want to text about that? For instance, because that's going to be asked in the depot. It was discovered in the second criminal trial that Jennifer McCabe had lied in her sworn testimony in the first trial about not visiting 34 Fairview with Carrie Roberts on January 30th on their way to Lank's house. However, while they did not text about that meeting, McCabe's cell phone location data obtained later by Miss Read's defense reveals that she did in fact visit 34 Fairview just one day after O'Keefe's death and lied about it. Again, this cellular evidence and the deception by McCabe was never investigated further by MSP, despite the fact that they had McCabe's full phone extraction since February of 2022. Yeah, I mean, they were not looking into any connections between the McCabe's, the Alberts, and law enforcement. McCabe's, Alberts, and Higgins all told similar false stories to investigators in their interviews, and Proctor Buchanan and Tully accepted their coordinated statements without making efforts to corroborate their stories. For example, Higgins testified before the state grand jury on April 28, 22, that he parked his Jeep Wrangler in front of 34 Fairview Road for the duration of his stay on January 29, 2022. However, none of the other House defendants or the precipient witnesses who parked briefly out front of around 12:30 a.m., Nagel, Maxon, or Diatono, ever testified about seeing any other vehicle parked there other than Miss Read's Lexus. Matt McCabe claims to have seen V-shaped tire tracks in the snow, another observation not corroborated by any other witnesses. Further, Brian and Nicole Albert initially told Lank of CPD that their daughter, Caitlin Albert, left the house that night around 12:15 when she was picked up by her boyfriend. However, when Caitlin Albert and Brian Albert Jr. were interviewed on August of 23, they both testified that Caitlin was the last person to leave 34 Fairview approximately 1:45 a.m. Brian and Nicole clearly made efforts to exclude placing their eldest daughter in the house where when Mr. O'Keefe was there. Neither Proctor Buchanan, Tully, Lank, MSP, or CPD ever further investigated this 90-minute discrepancy regarding the presence of a key witness in the alleged murder. Rather than investigate their friends and brethren, Proctor Buchanan, Tully, and MSP coordinate with the House defendants to target Karen Reed. Instead of taking the routine, objective, and necessary steps of investigating McCabe's, Higgins, and Alberts, Proctor Buchanan and Tully focused exclusively on Miss Reed as a suspect from the start of the investigation, despite substantial evidence exonerating her and implicating others, just as the House defendants intended. Proctor seized Miss Reed's cell phone and her SUV within 30 minutes of interviewing her on January 29th. He arrested her 72 hours later. Before reviewing any surveillance from the bars, ring camera footage, before interviewing exculpatory witnesses, and before the medical examiner's official conclusion that the manner of death could not be determined.
Yeah, Chris, join the Discord. I'll put the link in the chat for you. Anybody else who isn't in there, here's a free pass to get in the Discord. Especially if you're YB, this is a good time right here. But you're going to have to go into voice chat if we don't know you. And we'll know if you're YB.
We'll know that voice.
And we'll know if you're YB, no doubt.
And Angel is so happy with you at the moment.
I know, but it's cool. We got the bad people out already. One of the 40 people I kicked out. But we had to do it. Some of those people got back in though. But check out Discord if you don't have it, Chris. We got a little Discord. It's like a backdrop for the YouTube page. It's nonstop. It's like the most active Discord server on Discord. It never stops.
And that there were no injuries to Mr. O'Keefe's body consistent with a vehicle strike. Much to Proctor's...
Lolly, I'm surprised he did a show this long.
I think it bothered him so much about having to take the other one down midstream that he was going to make this thorough and correct.
Yeah, this is a super long stream for him. It's going to get like 700 million views.
I told you it was like 2.5 hours. Anything over an hour is
Let's see how many
overtime for him.
Oh, it's only got 83,000 views on it. That's it. Yeah, it only paid out about $4,000.
Proctor surprised. Though the separate law enforcement agency's investigation, his contemporaneous text messages were discovered. Among them, Proctor texted with his high school friends the evening of January 29th that the day he began his investigation. He told them MSP had already determined the Alberts were not going to receive any scrutiny about Mr. O'Keefe's death, even though the MSP had not at that point visited the crime scene or been inside the Alberts' home and had performed only cursory interview of the McCabes and Brian Albert. Proctor told his friends that Mr. O'Keefe had been hit by a car and not been in a fight, despite the fact that Mr. O'Keefe had suffered no injuries consistent with a vehicle strike. But he did have injuries consistent with a fight and dog attack. Proctor rejected a friend's belief that Brian Albert, the homeowner of the property where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found, would receive some crap. Instead, agreeing with another friend's assumption that you guys, the MSP, are out to make it cut and dry since it involves cops. Proctor revealed that he had already decided he was going to put serious charges on Miss Reed and she was effed. And there was zero chance she skates. From the outset, Proctor was determined to pin it on the girl. Proctor's and all of those text messages are what give reference to the pin it on the girl. That's what Proctor was saying in those text messages. That's what the totality of them basically were to put forward on Karen Reed's argument. That's her argument, is that he was going to pin it on the girl. That's what the text messages said, right? That's the bulk of the text message, or the point, or the motive behind the text messages, which I agree with. I think that's exactly what those text messages say and sound like to me. If you disagree with the way that's what they read, that's fine.
Yeah, that's her. That's her. I don't have any like old pictures from the bars and shit that I show these people either. I've told them about it, but I don't really think they understand the epic proportions of it. But yeah, you can hang out in there. I don't really talk to any of those people anymore, so it'd be good to keep up with Chris for a while. He was working on an offshore oil rig and have almost burnt both of his hands off in an electrical accident a couple years ago. It's pretty bad. Pictures are cool, but maybe he'll show you that one day, Lawlene, and put some pictures in there. You'll like that.
Absolutely.
He's had probably like 50 surgeries.
Yeah, it
It's
sucks
pretty
for
bad.
him. I mean, but if you're going to be injured, an offshore oil rig is a good place as far as financial gain afterwards.
I think he's living in Louisiana somewhere now. I can't remember. Oh, he finally got paid up for it. It's been a while. Good deal. That's good for you, buddy. Nice. But he's a fucking weird MMA fighting kind of person. Probably already found a way to keep working out without most of his fingers. Bet you money.
With me. Two people can read the same set of text messages and say, no, he wasn't saying they were trying to pin it on her at all. That's fine. Proctor's supervisors were aware of his bias and conflicted relationships in this investigation. They didn't have to guess. Proctor told them. He told them he knew the Alberts. Text messages from Proctor to Buchanan and the other MSP troopers show Proctor has decided to focus suspicion on Miss Reed to the exclusion of everyone else. Focusing on Miss Reed is not that big of a deal. That's normal. That's the person that starts on the inner circle, right? The significant other. But to completely ignore any other leads and potential defendants, that's the problem. That's the problem. And that's what makes it look like a conspiracy and cover-up, according to Karen Reed's team. He told the troopers that Miss Reed was, again, the R word, and that he was searching her phone for nudes of her. In the text chain, Buchanan liked Proctor's text describing Miss Reed as that. Buchanan received Proctor's text and never reprimanded Proctor or addressed his improper bias and conduct. And that was frowned upon. Because he was determined to put serious charges on Miss Reed, Proctor ignored the fact that the Commonwealth's medical examiner could not conclude that Mr. O'Keefe's death was a homicide, determining instead that the manner of his death could not be determined. The medical examiner also refused to conclude that Mr. O'Keefe died as a result of being struck by a vehicle, and later testified at trial that his injuries were not consistent with a car strike. Proctor later admitted that in his entire career, he had never seen a homicide investigation where the medical examiner could not determine the manner of death. But he remained undeterred in his quest to charge Miss Reed, and later admitted the medical examiner's refusal to rule the death as a homicide did not matter to him, because either way, Miss Reed was going to get charged. Totality of the text messages. In those circumstances, that's exactly what it looked like Proctor was going to do, right? To make sure of it. He was going to make sure of it. And that could happen a couple different ways, right? That could happen because
Chris, most everything goes in the general chat. He kind of knows that I'm like weird about Brandon shit, so he'll probably get the chat rat shit pretty quick. But we got a whole kind of little theme going here. It's a little fucking weird. It kind of snowballed. Yeah, so it's a thing now.
he really thought it was her. So he wanted to make sure that all this gets pinned on Karen Reed because he thinks she did it. Or a more nefarious explanation might be he wants to protect his friends. Or he already said this stuff and he already started going down this road. Now he wanted to make sure he was right. Because how embarrassing would that be if I arrested the wrong person and did all this to the wrong person? Cops have done that in the past.
Planting evidence.
Proctor and Buchanan plant certain evidence and make false statements in court and other legal documents to frame Karen.
He's not giving you any pictures of me because he knows I don't take pictures. He'll tell you what would happen to the guy who did all of my media shit if a picture of me ended up on any of the social media sites. It would not be good. So me sitting here is like a little weird.
Karen Reed. Okay, this is bombastic. I mean, these are big swings by Karen Reed's team. Proctor made this investigation cut and dry by manufacturing a case against Ms. Reed.
For
$1,000,
yeah.
Was to ensure that.
Yeah, for $1,000, I'll go take pictures with Chris in Louisiana.
You could.
No,
You saw how quick he sold his soul that night.
That's a joke.
All we heard was, "I've taken 12 pictures my whole life." And then all of a sudden money comes up. "Oh, I'll meet Dean wherever and we'll do all these great poses."
Whatever. Paid to play.
The crime scene and evidence was not secured. This was in violation of MSP's policy and well-established best practices for critical incident investigation. especially the MSP Crime Lab, requires proper processing.
Fucking chat paid me $1,000 off a joke that I made, which is why I'm retracting this joke really quick. But yeah, the pictures are in Discord, Lolly. I can't show them on here.
Oh, the ones that he just posted of his hands.
Yeah. Yep.
I get kicked out.
Crazy.
Evidence at major crime scenes, including the crime scene photography and evidence processing and recovery of latent fingerprints, footwear, and tire track evidence. Neither MSP troopers involved in the investigation nor CPD police officers on the scene secured the Alberts home or the area where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found. The MSP did not take any photographs of the house, including any part of the yard where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found until February 1st, more than 3 full days later. No photographs were ever taken of the inside of the garage of 34 Fairview. This intentional departure from established protocols permitted Proctor and Buchanan to generate false incriminating evidence against Ms. Reed and give the House defendants time to destroy actual evidence. By approximately 2:30 p.m. on January 29th, before he had even met or interviewed Ms. Reed or seen her Lexus SUV, Proctor had already ordered seizure of the vehicle at her parents' home in Dighton. By 4:17, the vehicle was in MSP's physical possession. The vehicle was then towed to CPD Sallyport, even though the MSP had at least 2 closer bearings, including Middleborough, the MSP headquarters for accident reconstruction, and where the vehicle would ultimately reside for analysis. And Massachusetts was in the middle of a historic nor'easter. So why? Why did they choose the Sallyport? Proctor knew he had more leeway to manipulate evidence regarding the SUV at CPD than at MSP's facility, and he knew he needed to have that evidence in close proximity to the crime scene at 34 Fairview. So if and when MSP gets brought in or filed a lawsuit against them, this is why it's negligent hiring, training, and retention, and not that they're in on the conspiracy, because they even admit here, this may have been harder for Proctor if he would have done this in their facility. Before the vehicle arrived at the garage, Miss Reed's Lexus taillight had a minor crack, but was intact. An observation ultimately made by Dighton officer Nicholas Barros, who was never interviewed by Proctor or any member of MSP. I mean, it's every time we dig into this case, it boggles my mind more. The crack occurred when Miss Reed backed into Mr. O'Keefe's car at 5 a.m. that morning when she was leaving to search for him. Even if you don't believe that, even if you think that's BS, even if you believe the Commonwealth's experts where they say it's impossible that happened, what do you do with Barros? Is he also lying? Why didn't they talk to him? Why didn't the Commonwealth?
Barros is the fucking savior. If it wasn't for Barros, oh man, I don't know how that would have turned out.
Wait, what did you just say? I was looking at pictures.
I said Barros is a savior. He was the
He
win.
was, but I mean, I think everyone can remember where they were when Barrows said that he looked at the picture of the tail light in trial 1. We were all like, oh crap, everything was going perfect till you said that.
Exactly. Yeah, if you hadn't looked in the Discord, that shit is crazy. I really haven't even talked to him about what happened. I didn't know if he was going to live for a while there. Look at those pictures. 8,400 volts of electricity.
I mean, honestly, the main concern would be with his heart, because your heart runs off electrical impulses.
Yeah. He's a tough motherfucker. He was already tough before that, but I don't know how the fuck he survived that. No idea.
People that like get struck by lightning or get electrocuted, like I've seen videos of the electricity leaving their body, and it does like bust through your hands and feet.
Yeah, I guess some people get lucky. They're grounded better.
Oh, see, he went into AFib. I knew it.
There's no
Do you
doubt.
have any lasting heart rhythm issues, Mark?
Yeah, he had a lot of surgeries for a long time. I still haven't figured out like what he was doing when that happened. That's the story I haven't heard yet. Like how that happened. What were you doing? But I'm sure we'll find out now.
We'll call him. Buchanan and Proctor followed the vehicle from Dighton and arrived at CPD at 5:35 p.m., just moments after the tow truck with the Lexus. At some point after the vehicle arrived at the Sallyport, the right rear taillight was almost entirely destroyed. Video taken from different angles of the Sallyport showed Buchanan, Proctor, Camp Police Chief Ken Berkowitz, and other individuals near the taillight. But notably, no video captures the taillight appearance at the precise time when it arrived at the Sallyport. The available surveillance video from the Sallyport, as well as CPD access card swipe log obtained by a separate law enforcement agency, reveals seemingly unfettered access to the Sallyport by a myriad of individuals, including Brian Higgins, throughout the evening of January 29th, including just before and just after 5:30 p.m. One or more of them destroyed the taillight, secretly took pieces of it into their possession, and then placed some of them at various places at 34 Fairview on Mr. O'Keefe's clothes. Big allegations. Big allegations. How do you prove that? Well, it could go something like, there were no taillight pieces in the yard. You get access to the vehicle. There's glitches, timestamps, jumps when the vehicle's in your possession. Nobody can really confirm what the taillight was, looking like when it showed up at Sallyport. Barrow says the taillight was fine when they left. Karen Reed, her car is showing, if you want to use that, bumping into John O'Keefe's car. No taillight on the lawn, though. That's the important part. That's the first thing where it's kind of like in a case when you're trying to show when an injury started. No pain prior to the car accident. You get in the car accident. Now you have pain. You need surgery. No taillight pieces in the yard. You get access to the light. Now there's taillight pieces in the yard. Because I don't think they're going to get any evidence of, actually seeing Proctor crack the taillight, or, somebody saying, yeah, I saw Proctor take a hammer to the taillight. I don't think they're going to get that. So it's going to have to be kind of totality of the circumstances with circumstantial evidence. Knowing that there were video cameras both inside and outside the Sallyport, Proctor and Buchanan worked together to obscure their role in manipulating the right rear taillight, and then ultimately to present false evidence at the first criminal trial. Specifically, Proctor directed Buchanan to secure video footage from the surveillance cameras located both inside and outside the Sallyport garage, which he did. Those videos were manipulated in two significant ways. First, a crucial 42-minute portion was deleted from the footage from the Sallyport front wall camera, the portion from 5:08 to 5:50, which included the exact time Miss Reed's Lexus arrived in the garage and the period Proctor was at the passenger side taillight. So I don't know, did they prove that was deleted, or is that where the jump? It was motion censored. I can't remember if they proved the deletion. This footage would have shown that the taillight was intact. Second footage from the Sallyport back wall camera was inverted, which was made the right side of the vehicle look like the left side of the vehicle and vice versa. Another camera, the main driveway side exterior, captured the back end of the taillight as it arrived to CPD, but was too grainy to decipher the condition of the passenger taillight. The video from inside and outside the Sallyport and Proctor's request for Buchanan to obtain it was intentionally hidden from Karen Reed and her defense attorneys for more than 2 years to avoid scrutiny. The video was then sprung on them immediately before and during the first criminal trial. One driveway camera's footage was not revealed to the defense until just prior to the start of the second trial. And again, some of this is going to be on the DA, right, who is not involved in this, but who's turning stuff over when and when do they know about it? We'll see who points fingers at who. In fact, Buchanan presented one of the videos during his direct testimony to Adam Lally. Buchanan narrated the video to the jury, correctly identified Proctor was at the rear of the vehicle, but claimed he never saw him approach the rear right taillight. That testimony, however, was entirely false. As we know, the video Buchanan authenticated as fair and accurate.
All right, Lawling's got to go to bed.
Well, there's several steps before bed, but I've got to get off of here to start making those steps. So
Yep.
enjoyed it, guys. I'll be listening.
Yep. Appreciate you hanging out. We watched your boyfriend for you.
No, that doesn't mean you have to stop, because I am still going to be listening.
I might
Y'all
listen.
have a great night.
See you later.
Bye.
Darn. Sorry, I was reading something. There's Genuine. I was just wondering if she was going to drop downs and then haul ass like that, like a hit and run. Hit it and quit it. Appreciate it. Peace. All right. I wonder if that person ever Oh, so you weren't even at work when that happened? You were at your house? Ain't no way. I thought you were out on the damn rig when that happened. Ain't no way that many volts came through that little electric wood burning shit you had. That don't make sense. I thought you were like on an oil rig somewhere. So your hobby got you in trouble. Damn, that sucks.
Was neither fair nor accurate because it was inverted. Proctor was actually behind the right taillight for a significant period of time. Because it was inverted, it appeared in the video that he was behind the left taillight. They hoped this would allow Buchanan to lie about this issue with at trial without detection. With the video and Buchanan's false testimony, MSP and Proctor and Buchanan attempted to mislead the jury in order to conceal the tampering with planting of taillight material. So I will always try to do my best, but I will ask for grace when I screw up. This could be a scenario where it was just a mistake, the inverted video. But the level to which they went down the road to use the inversion to prove a fact, I think makes it more difficult. And then when called out on the mistake to still try to double down and not make it seem like it looked like what it was, that's also an issue, right? If they would have just been like, oh, I'm sorry, yes, he was behind that taillight for a long period of time where, none of us could really see him, but they still tried to kind of wiggle there a bit. Proctor and Buchanan took taillight pieces from the Sallyport, brought them back to 34 Fairview to plant them in the location where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found, and then falsified various documents in an attempt to hide their conduct. In warrant applications to the Staunton District Court and Norfolk Superior Court for searches of the Google electronic records, ring videos, Miss Reed's phone, Miss Reed's vehicle, cell towers, and other sources of information, Proctor swore he seized Miss Reed's vehicle from her parents' home at 5:30 p.m. on January 29th and had the vehicle towed to CPD. Reports shared by the Dighton Police Department reveal the Lexus was towed from Dighton at 4:17. Proctor's assertion that he seized it at 5:30 was intentionally false to hide the fact that he was in the custody of the car. The car was in police custody, for 73 minutes longer than indicated in the sworn affidavits. I don't think that would have mattered, in my opinion, on the sworn affidavits, but it's a good inconsistency now for what Karen Reed's trying to prove. Proctor maintained that false narrative because it would hide the exact time frame when he had the opportunity to remove pieces of the taillight from Miss Reed's vehicle and bring them back.
It happens sometimes, people in court. It happens sometimes. Especially when you go late. You never know who's going to show up, who ain't going to show up. That's the thing. I need somebody to come up here who has 2 phones so we can listen to the spaces. That's what I need. If Lubin would wake the fuck up, because he's got a little thingamajig he can do. We can listen to it. We'll find something for us to do here in a second while we listen to this.
Back to the house so that he could later claim the pieces had been there since approximately 12:30 on January 29th. However, unbeknownst to him, driveway video from the Reed residence in Dighton and a report written by the Dighton Police report revealed Proctor's lie and revealed the true and accurate time the Lexus SUV came into MSP's possession. Proctor also deposited the SUV taillight pieces that he and others removed. Others who all's involved, we don't know. From the vehicle in the Sallyport onto Mr. O'Keefe's clothes. Proctor retrieved from Mr. O'Keefe's clothes from the floor of the hospital where he was pronounced deceased. Instead of securing the clothes in a sealed container or bag, as protocol requires, Proctor and Buchanan drove them around in his car all day and placed them in a Norfolk County DA's office for at least 6 days, where they were accessible to Proctor, Buchanan, and other MSP troopers. In his trial testimony, Buchanan asserted that both he and Proctor were at the Norfolk DA's office drying out O'Keefe's clothes on butcher paper. Well into the evening, at least 8:30 p.m. on January 29th. But in front of MSP's trial board in March of 25, Proctor testified he arrived back at home at 7 o'clock at night. Furthermore, there's going to be stuff like that where more is going to come out, and more has already come out with this complaint. Proctor stated that he went from a debrief at CPD straight home and never mentioned visiting the NDAO with Buchanan and handling items of evidence, despite Buchanan's claims that Proctor was handling the clothing that night. On these matters,
I'm trying to find a way to listen to Bab's spaces. I don't know why. But just so I can piss her off. Really? What up, J7? if it'll let me download it on my phone, maybe I can listen to it not logged in. I'm getting there. Why is it taking so long to download? Because there's so many fucking creeps on X. That's why. There's so much shit, like literal shit to download. But I need like a music break from LYK for a minute. Which one? Yeah, Chris, Toy makes all the music for the channel on her channel. Because everything's copyright. If you play copyright shit, they'll boot your ass off here. So, let's listen to Next Witness's song. That's a good one. While I download X. So, excuse me while I whip this out.
Next witness is in session. Different angles, different views. Same scene, brand new clues. Watch it long enough, you'll see it too. Truth always comes shining through. Scrolling my screen, fresh new trials. Truth takes time to set a spell. Stay a while. Everybody talks like they know the end till you line the pieces up again. Small reactions and micro signs. Truth leaks out between the lights. Eyes blink and you miss what slipped right through. Rewind once it starts talking to you. Don't you react one by one. Some lean in, some come undone. One last low, one gas loud. Same moment, different crowd. Pulls that frame, hold it there. Something subtle in the air. Shifts in tone in the eyes. That's where half the story hides. Blue lit faces in the glow, receipts popping on the screen. They show every voice, every take. Let like a fault line quake. One says wait, one says no. One rewinds it extra slow. Same exact clip, second view. Now it's building something new, something true. The truth don't hide, the truth don't beg. It just stands there on its own legs. Thread by thread, it falls apart. Right there in real time on the court's timeline chart. Courts adjourned. For now, next is until the next witness takes a stand.
Bam. So anyways, it won't let me try to do it with my phone, but it just went right to my account. So yeah, it won't let me do anything logged out. So check this out. So this happened Somebody told me about it. And I think there's a good part in here. Oh, God. I wonder if she's getting trolled hard like she was last time. I don't know. But let me figure something out. So we're about to play some redirect roulette. Yeah, it's kind of late. It's almost 11. Somebody's got to work tomorrow. And that somebody is me. What up, 13? J7, what up? We're on a ghost goal tonight. No goals, just ghost goals. And the ghost goals were good. We'll find somewhere really deprived to send you people. It's going to be awesome. Oh, Jimmy's about to go live again. Let me look. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find him. Oh my God, are you kidding? You gotta be kidding. Your dad must have been a really awesome person. Come on. Oh God, he is going. Late show. Redirect is set. Genuine is the all-star. Jess is going live again too tonight. I don't know about that. Let me look. Genuine got me in distress right now. I'm distressing. So while I'm distressed, I want to listen to this song. Where are you? Where are you? Where did you go? Oh, there you are. All right. Let's listen to this tune while I gather my thoughts. I'm not in a hurry. I don't really care. We could just sit here and hang out for all I care. I'm going to read the super chats before we leave. For sure. For sure. But first, I'm going to listen to the song and chill. Not that song, this song. Because this is the best one. Here we go.
You are the candle that dances slow in the room where the wild winds go. You are the still in my rambling mind, a soft hello in the hands of time. You don't ask me to be more than I am, but still you pull the best from this man. With eyes that read my quiet sins, and a laugh that pulls the light back in. Oh love, if this life is a song, then you are the hum that carries it on. In a world spinning reckless and loud, you're the calm in the crowd, you in the quiet. That's where I belong. I talk in riddles, I run too fast, chasing tomorrow, forgetting the past. But you hold time like a prayer in your hand. Teach me how to truly stand. Your heart is a river, strong and wide, pulling me gently back inside. No need for maps or stars above, I just follow the shape of your love. Oh love, if this life is a song, then you are the hum that carries it on. In a world spinning reckless and loud, you're the calm in the crowd, you in the quiet, that's where I belong. Let the world keep shouting its name. We'll lie here slow, unafraid. No need to run, no need to roam, when your arms are the only home I've known. No love, if this life is a song, then you are the hum that carries it on. In a world spinning reckless and loud, you're the calm in the crowd, you in the quiet, that's where I belong.
Nice. Anyways, so why do some of y'all have to be rude? It ain't no fun when y'all are rude like that, man. It's 173 people on X. Appreciate it. Maybe the extreme stopped. Can you only go for so long? Oh, darn. Anyways, got the redirect set for anti-dub. And we'll go there and hang out. What time does it start? Oh, he's already live. Cool. But sorry about your dad, Genuine. Sorry about J7 being rude. Don't be rude up in here. That ain't no fun. But let's go see what Jimmy's talking about. There's really nothing else to do. I keep looking for something, but oh, hold on. Yeah, we might listen to that Spaces later. Person that just sent me that message. Sorry. Hold on. Craziness. All right. Let's see. You hear that? Somebody's outside with their V6 with the straight pipes on it. It's nice. We need to do a smoking stream. We just sit here and chill and smoke. What's up, CME? Yeah, they need a muffler out there. But what's today? Tomorrow is Wednesday. Turtle Boy goes tomorrow. So we'll definitely pregame tomorrow. As long as I get home in time. Which I should. And I'm glad Chris is in the Discord and shit now I can keep up with him. I used to see these people, I used to see him, I don't know, about every day for like 15 years. So he worked for me for a long time. Taught him how to bartend. A lot of crazy shit happened. Too many stories. Don't tell any of them. Don't show any of the pictures. So that's it, people. We will see y'all tomorrow for a pregame. Genuine, we hope you feel better. Make sure that you got in the Discord before I leave. Yeah, she's in there. Everybody say hey to her. How many people we got in this bitch now? It won't tell me on here. Kicked out so many people. Yeah, go fishing. What's up, Winks? Winks have been lurking the whole time. Been lurking the whole time. All right, good night, people. Let me check and see what the heck. Oh, yeah, you'll like this one. So, onwards and upwards to infinity and beyond.
The click of the door, shoes on the floor, body going heavy, brain craving more, sinking to the cushions, gravity taking over, eyes fixed on the ceiling, a slow motion spin, colors in the corners, waving as they pass by, thoughts stretching, time like glass. I have this dream stuck in my head, like a movie in my pillow, playing again, every little scene melting me instead, yeah, this dream is stuck in my head, in my head. But the ride feels soft, the moon on the windshield, floating us off, hands on the wheel, heart on recline, lane lines bending, dancing in time. I have this dream stuck in my head, like a movie in my pillow, playing again, every little scene melting me instead, yeah, this dream is stuck in my head, in my head. I'm fading, flickering, glowing, every random heartbeat, finding the perfect tempo. The couch turning into an island, the car turning into a cloud, silence getting louder, but I'm calm inside the sound. So loud, so quiet. I have this dream